Chapter 236. Senior brother Lien Kuan has put in a lot of effort. Although He-jin felt that Lien Kuan was shameless, he still put on a good front. I will have a good chat with him about this. However, whether he listens or not is not something I can control. After all, what he has done is not against the rules of the sect, He-jin said. Lien Kuan shook his head and laughed. Junior brother you must be joking. You are the Autumn Valley head, and since you have spoken, as an Autumn Valley disciple, how could Zhou Donghuang not listen to you? Senior brother Lien Kuan, young people nowadays are not like us. They all have their own ideas. In the past, if we had his ability, would we have dared to do this? He-jin countered. Lien Kuan was speechless. If he had been younger and had Zhou Donghuang's forgery skills, he would not have done what Zhou Donghuang had done, even if he knew that forgery could make him rich. Although it was not against the rules of the sect, it would offend many people. When he was young, he had aspired to the position of Summer Valley head. If he offended too many people and caused trouble for him in the future, he might not even be able to live to this day, let alone the position of Summer Valley head. Within the sect, no one dared to do anything rash. But what about outside the sect? Could he not leave the sect for the rest of his life? Lien Kuan had just left when a travel-worn figure landed in He-jin's courtyard. It was He Mingxi, Zhou Donghuang's third senior sister, who had just returned. Silly girl, you've been gone for so long this time. Where did you go? He-jin asked with a smile, his eyes full of affection. I just went for a walk, He Mingxi replied casually. Of course, she could not possibly tell her father that she had gone to investigate Zhou Donghuang's background. After all, the dream that he had mentioned was too far-fetched. Father, why is Uncle Lien Kuan here? I don't remember him coming to the Autumn Valley to look for you. He Mingxi asked curiously. He's here for your little junior brother. As the Autumn Valley head, He-jin knew that He Mingxi had addressed Zhou Donghuang as little junior brother. He's here for little junior brother? He Mingxi was stunned and asked, could it be that he's here to poach us? You want to poach junior brother to the Summer Valley? On this trip to the Xian planet of the Kaiyuan galaxy, she could be said to have seriously investigated Zhou Donghuang's background. After this investigation, she was shocked. On a planet that lacked cultivation resources, her junior brother had actually achieved his current level of cultivation in such a short period of time? Furthermore, her junior brother had once killed a Dharma adept who had just entered the Dharma stage despite being a Golden Essence adept. As a Dharma adept, she knew the difference between a Dharma adept and a Golden Essence adept who was the closest to becoming a Dharma adept. It was an insurmountable gap. Even the weakest Dharma adept could not be killed by a Golden Essence adept. At least, in the history of the Lightning Sword sect, the Tylao planet, and the Hunglio galaxy, she had never heard of a Golden Essence adept being able to kill a Dharma adept. This had already subverted everything she knew. Because of this, she felt that her junior brother couldn't be treated as an ordinary Golden Core cultivator, and she even subconsciously felt that he was extremely outstanding. Therefore, at this time, she subconsciously asked her father if the Summer Valley head was here to poach him? Poach him? He-jin was stunned for a moment, then immediately shook his head and said, No. He's here because he wants me to speak to your junior brother, and ask him not to forge the items that the people of the Summer Valley have placed a bounty on in the future and let people sell fake goods to the people of the Summer Valley. Fake goods? He Mingxi was stunned. After all, she had just returned, and after all, she did not know about the incident that had caused an uproar in half of the Lightning Sword sect a month ago. However, as He-jin explained, she very quickly understood the ins and outs of the matter. At the same time, she also knew the reason why the Summer Valley head, Lien Kuan, had come this time. He has this kind of ability? He Mingxi did not know whether to laugh or cry, but at the same time, a cold light flashed in her eyes. However, that Summer Valley disciple, Pan Yilin, actually dared to sell fake goods to De Zhuang and bully him? He must have eaten a bear's heart and a leopard's gall. Knowing that De Zhuang had been cheated, He Mingxi was obviously very angry. My good daughter, your junior brother has already avenged De Zhuang, so this matter has come to an end. Let's just end it here. He Jin felt a headache coming on. He naturally understood his own daughter very well, and with her temper, she would definitely help De Zhuang get back at him. Some things you still have to do it yourself to vent your anger, He Mingxi said. As for what junior brother has done this time, I feel that it has helped to vent my anger. Father, you're not really going to look for junior brother and ask him to stop forging fake goods to sell to the people of the Summer Valley, are you? You can't do this. If you go look for him, I'll fall out with you. He Mingxi said to He Jin with a serious face, and the latter agreed immediately. He could only silently apologize to the Summer Valley head, Lien Kuan, in his heart. I'm going to look for junior brother and De Zhuang. After saying goodbye to He Jin, He Mingxi left in a hurry. However, she only found De Zhuang. Zhou Donghuang was practicing in his own room. He Mingxi did not disturb his practice and immediately called out to De Zhuang, De Zhuang, let's go. Follow me to the Summer Valley to find Pan Yilin. He even dared to touch my people. He must have eaten the heart of a bear and the guts of a leopard. He Mingxi's eyes flashed coldly as she looked in the direction of the Summer Valley. Although within the Lightning Sword sect, disciples of the same sect were not allowed to fight without reason, not to mention the fact that there was no evidence to prove that Pan Yilin had sold fake goods to De Zhuang. Even if he had really done so, it was within the rules of the sect, and they could not use this reason to cause trouble for Pan Yilin. But who was He Mingxi? She was the daughter of the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, and she was the only daughter at that. With such a status, even if she really hurt someone, as long as the matter was not serious enough, even if the law enforcement hall arrested her, they could not really do anything to her. In fact, the most troublesome people for the law enforcement hall were He Mingxi and Lu Lang, who were the only daughters and sons of the valley heads. Even if He Mingxi and Lu Lang went to the law enforcement hall, the people of the law enforcement hall still treated them like their ancestors. Senior sister, there's no need. De Zhuang shook his head and smiled. Junior brother has already helped me take revenge. I am not unhappy anymore, and I am not angry anymore. You big fool. He Mingxi shook her head. Since you are not going, then I will go alone. As soon as she finished speaking, she did not wait for De Zhuang to speak and quickly flew away. She left the Autumn Valley and headed for the Summer Valley. He Mingxi was a very protective person. A large part of the reason why Zhou Donghuang had respected her in his previous life was because He Mingxi's protective attitude gave him a sense of home. During that period of time, he felt very secure. It was as if even if the sky collapsed, third senior sister would hold it up for him. Pan Yilin, get out here. After He Mingxi went to the Summer Valley and asked for Pan Yilin's address, she went straight there and shouted. Her voice was so loud that it spread across a large area. It's He Mingxi. That Pan Yilin fellow, did he offend He Mingxi? Many people of the Summer Valley came out to take a look and recognized He Mingxi. However, even some of the elders of the Summer Valley, although they saw that He Mingxi had come aggressively, had no intention of interfering. They all pretended not to see anything. Senior sister He? Pan Yilin, who was practicing in his room, was startled awake by He Mingxi. His face was pale. He had not intended to go out, but when he thought that He Mingxi might just tear down his residence if he did not go out, he could only muster his courage and go out. I hope senior brother Lien can step out in time, otherwise, I will definitely not be able to escape a beating from this senior sister He. Pan Yilin walked out of the room helplessly and rose into the air. He looked at He Mingxi, who was standing in the air far away, and braced himself to greet her. Senior sister He. Pan Yilin, you are really amazing. You even dared to lie to De Zhuang. He Mingxi looked at Pan Yilin deeply and said, "It seems like you do not respect me at all. Senior sister you have misunderstood." Pan Yilin smiled bitterly and said, "That matter was a misunderstanding. The 9-ringed bamboo that I sold to De Zhuang was real, not fake." He Mingxi interrupted Pan Yilin and asked calmly, "You mean, De Zhuang is slandering you?" I seeing that He Mingxi's gaze had turned cold, Pan Yilin felt his scalp go numb. At the same time, he felt that he would not be able to escape this beating. He could only hope that this senior sister, he would show mercy and not be too heavy-handed. Of course, he would definitely not die or be crippled. On this point, he still believed that He Mingxi had a sense of propriety. And just as He Mingxi's vital energy swept out and condensed into the Dharma power of a giant tiger that was 10 feet tall, preparing to attack Pan Yilin, a figure floated out and blocked in front of Pan Yilin. Junior Sister Mingxi. The person who had appeared was the personal disciple of the Summer Valley head, Lian Kuan. Lian Kan was not only Lian Kuan's personal disciple, but he was also Lian Kuan's adopted son. He was an orphan that Lian Kuan had picked up and brought back to be adopted. Lian Kan was actually younger than He Mingxi by 3 years, but his martial arts talent was slightly higher than He Mingxi's. Although he was younger than He Mingxi, his level of cultivation was not lower than He Mingxi's. "Lian Kan, this matter has nothing to do with you." He Mingxi frowned and said in a low voice, "Get lost." Zhou Dongwang did not know that his third senior sister, He Mingxi, had already returned. Now, he was completely immersed in his practice. The core drug that he had produced was called the Developing Essence, and was a type of ancient core drug. In his previous life, after he had attained the heavenly stage, he had accidentally obtained the formula in an ancient relic. It was the fruit of the blood and sweat of the ancient people, and it had long been lost in the boundless universe at that time. The developing essence could allow golden essence adepts to forcefully condense their Dharma power in a short period of time. Of course, during this process, a spirit gathering spell was needed to absorb the spirit energy from heaven and earth. Coupled with the medicinal power of the developing essence, the golden essence would manifest its Dharma power. 4 developing essence, each with medicinal power entering a golden essence. I wonder if I can directly manifest the Dharma power of the 4 mythical beasts. Zhou Dongwang was somewhat expectant. End of this chapter. Chapter 237. The developing elixir was an ancient elixir, and when Zhou Dongwang obtained its formula, he was already a mighty adept at the heavenly man stage. Naturally, he had no use for this elixir that was meant for golden essence adept. Furthermore, in his previous life, he had taken in a few disciples in the universe. At that time, even the weakest of them was already a divine transformation adept, so they naturally had no use for the developing elixir. In his previous life, Zhou Dongwang felt that it would be difficult for him to use the formula of the developing elixir, unless he suddenly decided to take in another disciple. However, he did not expect that before he could take in another disciple, he would be reborn 1,000 years ago due to an accident and have to start all over again. Under such circumstances, the developing elixir came in handy. Next, I'll first set up the energy-gathering formation, then take the developing elixir. Zhou Dongwang did not lack spirit stones now. Before leaving the Xian planet and coming to the Tailao planet, he had traveled to a few planets in a few galaxies. Based on the memories of his previous life, he managed to obtain the relics left behind by a few Dharma adepts who had died of old age. Among them, there were many spirit stones. Of course, most of them were mid-quality spirit stones, with only a few high-quality spirit stones. This was also because the planets that the Dharma adepts were on could not compare to the Tailao planet that the Lightning Sword sect was on, be it in terms of the training environment or the training resources it contained. The Tailao planet had high-quality spirit stone veins, but those few planets did not. Those few planets had all been visited by Zhou Dongwang before he had reached the Dharma stage in his previous life. It was also at that time that he began to pay attention to the relics left behind by the Dharma adept. However, every time, he could only sigh helplessly, because someone had already taken away the relics of the Dharma adepts before him. After that, Zhou Dongwang naturally heard about the relics left behind by many Dharma adepts. However, at that time, his level of training was already quite high, and he only left the relics of the Dharma adepts to fate and did not purposely pursue them. Therefore, although he knew when the relics of the Dharma adepts had appeared on each planet, he did not pay attention to the specific location. At that time, what he paid attention to was where the primordial soul adepts and above died of old age. However, with his current ability, he still did not have the ability to collect the various relics left behind by the primordial soul adepts and above. There are also some rare spirit fruits appearing. In addition, in Zhou Donghuang's memory, there were many specific times and specific circumstances of the birth of the spirit fruits. These spirit fruits were also things that he would collect in the future. In his previous life, out of all the rare spirit fruits that he knew of, it was rare for even one to be his. But in this life, with the memories from his previous life, he was completely able to act before the various forces and experts could act and collect those spirit fruits. To Zhou Dongwang in this life, the memories of his past life were no different from a cheating device. More than 300,000 mid-tier spirit stones are equivalent to more than 30,000 high-tier spirit stones. It's enough for me to use for a while. 30,000 high-quality spirit stones. Even in the Lightning Sword sect, there were not many people who could afford such a sum. Zhou Dongwang had obtained the spirit stones from the graves of a few Dharma adepts who had reached the end of their lives. Unlike those who came from sects, these adepts did not have many ready-made resources. Instead, they focused on searching for and earning spirit stones. Only with spirit stones could they purchase the various resources they needed. He did not seem like someone who came from a sect. In the Lightning Sword sect, as long as one completed the various tasks given out by the sect, they would be able to earn a certain amount of contribution points. The accumulated contribution points could be used to exchange for core drugs, spirit weapons, and even some rare materials. In the Lightning Sword sect, there were some things that could not be bought with spirit stones. One had to use contribution points. Of course, after using contribution points to exchange for items, one could then exchange them for spirit stones at the trade center. This was also possible. In the entire boundless universe, as long as the other sects were presentable, they were basically all similar to the Lightning Sword sect. Under such circumstances, those who came from sects, with the exception of the few people at the top of a sect, generally did not have as much spiritual stones as those rogue cultivators who dared to fight outside, unless they had a fortuitous encounter and made a fortune outside. Because of this, the amount of spirit stones that Zhou Donghuang could use now, not to mention the outer sect elders of the Lightning Sword sect, even among the inner sect elders, there were not many who could match up to him. Of course, those who stood at the top of the Lightning Sword sect, like the 4 valley heads of the inner sect, the 5 hall heads of the outer sect, and the elders of the Lightning Peak, their spirit stone wealth was definitely astonishing. This was because many of the things that could be exchanged for with contribution points in the sect were contributed by them. Correspondingly, the sect would give them a certain amount of spirit stones as compensation. 10,000 mid-quality spirit stones should be enough to set up a chi-gathering spell, right? Under normal circumstances, Zhou Dongwang would not need to use 10,000 mid-quality spirit stones to set up a chi-gathering spell. This was because his current level of practice was too low, and absorbing too much spirit energy from the heavens and earth would cause a backlash. But now, Zhou Dongwang was not doing this purely for practice. He intended to use the power of the 4 ancient core drugs, the developing essence, to condense his Dharma power in one go. He had a very crazy ambition. He wanted to make all 4 golden essences manifest their Dharma power in one go, and this was also the confidence that the ancient core drug, the developing essence, had given him. However, although he was ambitious and had a certain level of confidence, Zhou Donghuang was not completely confident. This was because he had never seen anyone consume the developing essence before. In fact, this was his first time producing a core drug like the developing essence, which was recorded in an ancient formula. Now, consume 4 developing essence. The success rate of producing the developing essence was not high. Even with Zhou Donghuang's alchemy skills, if he gave it his all, he could only produce 2 elixirs in one cauldron, and this was already Zhou Donghuang's limit of producing the developing essence with his samadhi fire. Unless he used a higher level of fire, it would be difficult to exceed this number of elixirs. As expected of an ancient core drug for a typical alchemist, if his alchemy skills are not up to par, no matter how strong his fire is, it will be difficult to produce the developing essence. This was also something that Zhou Donghuang had discovered in the process of producing the elixirs. Gulp, Zhou Donghuang opened his mouth and swallowed the 4 developing essence at the same time. Soon after, he could clearly see that the moment the 4 developing pills entered his throat, they turned into 4 waves of medicinal power and fused together. In the end, under his intervention, they were divided into 4 waves and flowed into the 4 golden elixirs in his dantian. In the next moment, he began to activate the 4 golden essences in his elixir field, absorbing spirit energy in the energy-gathering formation to train. The 4 golden essences were activated at the same time, and the speed at which they absorbed spirit energy was already very fast. Now that the 4 golden essences had the medicinal power of the developing essence, the speed was even faster. Compared to normal times, it was hundreds or even thousands of times faster. So fast. After a moment of shock, Zhou Donghuang continued to focus on activating the 4 golden essences, following the path of the Lord of the 4 Supremes to train, one big cycle after another. At this time, Zhou Donghuang, who had his eyes tightly shut, did not notice that the 10,000 mid-level spirit stones placed on the bed around him were gradually losing their luster at a speed visible to the naked eye. Based on this speed, it would not be long before these spirit stones were completely used up, and above Zhou Donghuang's head, the spirit energy that had gathered from all directions had even condensed into liquid form and was rushing towards Zhou Donghuang's head. It was like a small stream flowing. It must be known that under normal circumstances, even if a primordial soul adept used the energy-gathering formation to train, it was already considered very exaggerated for them to be able to see spirit energy in the form of mist. But now, with the medicinal power of the developing essence, the spirit energy that Zhou Donghuang had absorbed through the energy-gathering formation had condensed into liquid form. The spirit energy that filled heaven and earth was usually very difficult to see, and it was already very difficult to condense it into a mist form, much less a liquid form that was even more exaggerated. However, the reason why the spirit energy was now in a liquid form was completely because of the medicinal power of the developing essence. Under normal circumstances, even if Zhou Donghuang activated the 4 golden essences and used the energy-gathering formation to train, it would be difficult for the spirit energy to condense into a mist form, much less a liquid form. Zhou Donghuang was like a whale swallowing seawater as he absorbed the liquid spirit energy of heaven and earth. At the same time, there was a slight disturbance in the spirit energy of heaven and earth outside his residence. At least De Zhuang, who was training, felt it. What's going on? However, although he felt the disturbance, De Zhuang did not know what had happened. In fact, after he stopped training, he no longer felt the disturbance. Under the Lightning Sword Sect's territory, there was not only one high-quality spirit stone lode, but there were also many mid-quality spirit stone lodes. A place that could condense so many spirit stone lodes was definitely a place with an abundance of spirit energy. Coupled with the spirit energy emitted by the spirit stone loads, under this virtuous cycle, the entire lightning sword sect's territory had become a sacred place for training. Most non-affiliated practitioners who trained outside and spent a certain amount of spirit stones to set up an energy-gathering formation might not be as effective as if they had not set up an energy-gathering formation in the lightning sword sect. It was precisely because the lightning sword sect's territory was filled with an extremely dense spirit energy that even though Zhou Donghuang was absorbing spirit energy wantonly in a corner of the Autumn Valley and condensing it into a liquid form, it did not alarm anyone. De Zhuang could feel it when he was training because he was close to it. The other people of the Autumn Valley, including the Summer Valley elders who were at the mid-primordial soul stage, did not notice anything strange about Zhou Donghuang's residence. Now, within the Autumn Valley, the only person who had noticed anything strange about Zhou Donghuang's residence was the Autumn Valley head, He Jin. And this was also because Zhou Donghuang's residence and He Jin's residence were in the same direction of the Autumn Valley, and they were not far apart. Otherwise, even He Jin would not have been able to detect the abnormality in the spirit energy around Zhou Donghuang's residence. Spirit energy is all gathering towards him. This speed of gathering is not as exaggerated as when the sect leader was training, much less when I was training. He Jin stood in the air and looked at the courtyard where Zhou Donghuang was staying in. His face was full of shock. Is he training? Is he really just a primal core adept? End of this chapter. Chapter 238. The practice of a primal core adept was even more impressive than that of a divine transformation adept. Although He Jin was the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect and one of the 4 chief elders of the Lightning Peak, he could not help but be stunned. He had no idea what was going on. He had never encountered such a situation before. However, he also knew how difficult it was to gather spirit energy at such a speed. At least, even the Divine Transformation Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect could not do it. This Zhou Donghuang is not simple. He either has a treasure or some special method to absorb spirit energy so quickly. He Jin thought to himself, where did he come from? Looks like I'll have to ask Mingxi when I get back. He Jin's expression turned solemn as he thought of this. To absorb spirit energy at such a frightening speed, even if only half of the spirit energy was converted into inner yuan, the speed of practice was still terrifying. Now, Zhou Donghuang did not know that while he was practicing, the movement of spirit energy had attracted the attention of the Autumn Valley head, He Jin. He was fully immersed in the practice of the Lord of the 4 Supremes. He had no idea how much time had passed. It felt like a century, but at the same time, it felt like only an instant. During this process, he glanced at his dantian and discovered that the embryonic form of a Dharma power had begun to appear on all 4 of his golden cores. He had experienced this scene in his previous life, so he was very familiar with the scene in front of him. Time continued to pass. At this time, Zhou Donghuang could vaguely see that the outline of the Dharma power on the 4 golden essences in his body had already formed a clear outline. Is that the green dragon Dharma power? The outline of the Dharma power on one of the golden essences looked a little like a snake, but its body was huge, and it had the outline of 5 claws on its abdomen. 5-clawed green dragon? What's going on? Shouldn't it be a 4-clawed green dragon? In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had met Dharma adepts who had formed the Divine Dragon Dharma power. He knew that the Divine Dragon Dharma power was a 4-clawed divine dragon. But now, the embryonic form of the Dharma power on one of his golden cores had the outline of a 5-clawed divine dragon. Even for the dragon race, one of the 10,000 races in the universe, the Divine Dragon Dharma power that they condense when they reach the Dharma stage is only a 4-clawed divine dragon. Only when they step into the primordial soul realm can they condense the primordial soul of a 5-clawed divine dragon. In his previous life, Zhou Donghuang had interacted with the Dragon Clan, so he knew about this in detail. The five-clawed divine dragon was one level higher than the four-clawed divine dragon. Is it because of the Lord of the Four Supremes? Zhou Donghuang's heart thumped. The more he thought about it, the more it made sense. Apart from this, he couldn't think of any other possibilities. However, this is also a good thing. In the Dharma stage, the five-clawed divine dragon Dharma power will not only be invincible against Dharma adepts of the same level, but even against Dharma adepts of a higher level. As long as their Dharma power is not particularly strong, it will most likely be able to defeat them. The four-clawed divine dragon Dharma power was enough to defeat 99% of Dharma adepts of the same level. What more, the even stronger five-clawed divine dragon Dharma power. The green dragon Dharma power already has the shape of a five-clawed divine dragon. The other three Dharma powers will not be simple either. As he thought of this, Zhou Donghuang became unusually excited. His attention shifted to another golden essence. The shape of the Dharma power that appeared was that of a bird. This should be the vermilion bird Dharma power. This is the white tiger Dharma power. The shape of the Dharma power that appeared on the third golden essence was that of a walking beast. Upon closer inspection, there were many traces of the king of beasts, a tiger. The black tortoise Dharma power. The shape of the Dharma power that appeared on the fourth golden essence was that of a tortoise, a large one at that. Just as Zhou Donghuang's attention was drawn to the shape of the Dharma power that appeared on the four golden essences in his dantian, He Mingshi rushed back to the Autumn Valley angrily. When I reach the mid-Dharma stage, I will definitely teach that Lien Ken a good lesson. How dare he protect Pan Yilin? He is obviously going against me. This time, He Mingshi had gone to the Summer Valley to find Pan Yilin, but before she could do anything, Lien Ken had interfered and threatened to protect Pan Yilin. In a fit of anger, she had fought Lien Ken. They were evenly matched, and neither of them could do anything to the other. In such a situation, she could only return in low spirits. Although she was the daughter of the Autumn Valley head, Lien Can's background was not bad either. He was the adopted son and disciple of the Summer Valley head, so he was not afraid of her. However, when He Mingshi returned angrily, her face was full of worry. That Lien Can is about to reach the mid-Dharma stage. Furthermore, his martial arts talent is higher than mine. When she reached the mid-Dharma stage, Lien Can would most likely also break through. When that time came, she would not be able to do anything to him. Because of this, she was very dissatisfied. What? Did you not help De Zhuang? He Jin noticed He Mingshi as soon as she returned and immediately went to greet her. When he saw the dissatisfaction on her face, it was not difficult to guess that she had not been able to get what she wanted. It seemed that someone had interfered to protect the Summer Valley disciple who had sold the fake goods to De Zhuang. That Lien Can interfered. He Mingshi said in a low voice. Lien Can. He Jin was stunned, and his gaze became a little strange. From what I know, that Lien Can fellow seems to be interested in you. He actually stopped you? Interested in me? He Mingshi was stunned at first, but she quickly regained her composure. With a look of disgust, she said, Even if all the men in the world died and he was the only one left, I would not choose him. Did he really think that I did not know that he was toying with the female outer sect disciples and then abandoning them? As she said this, there was only disgust left in her eyes. All right, let's not talk about this for now. He Jin shook his head and changed the topic. That Zhou Donghuang, where did you find him? What's wrong? He Mingshi was confused. She did not know why her father would suddenly ask this. He Jin told her what he had discovered an hour ago, and for a moment, He Mingshi was stunned. When he was practicing, the spirit energy gathered at a crazy rate. Furthermore, the speed and intensity of the spirit energy gathering was even greater than when the sect leader was practicing in seclusion. He Mingshi was also shocked. He is not simple. I suspect that either his background is not simple, or he had an extraordinary encounter. He-jin said with a serious expression. He does not have any background. Thinking of the planet called Zeun that she had been to not long ago, He-mingshi shook her head. He must have had an extraordinary encounter. Does not have any background. He-jin looked at He-mingshi. Where is he from? Zeun, He-mingshi said. He-mingshi said, that planet only has a few small spirit stone veins. Moreover, there isn't even an interstellar transportation array in the star domain where that planet is located. I left not long ago to go to the planet of Zeun to help him bring some things to his family. He-mingshi did not intend to tell her father that Zhou Dongwang had come looking for her. She only said that Zhou Dongwang had wandered to the Hunglio galaxy and ended up on Zeun. She had found him and brought him back to the Lightning Sword sect and the Autumn Valley. In the Autumn Valley, only Huang Long knew that when Zhou Dongwang had first arrived, she did not know him. Therefore, she had specially gone to Huang Long to inform him. Someone who came from a galaxy that does not even have a galaxy teleporter? He-jin's eyes narrowed slightly, and he said with a serious expression, it seems that he has indeed had an extraordinary encounter. Otherwise, with his background, he would not have been able to get to where he is today. 23 years old, reaching the golden essence stage. Even in some of the galaxies with galaxy teleporters, it is rare for someone like that to appear. He-jin voiced out his own guess. He-mingshi did not reply. She thought of what she had learned after going to Zeun and felt that Zhou Dongwang must have had an extraordinary encounter. She even had a vague guess. Zhou Dongwang's extraordinary encounter could have been his dream. A dream that allowed him to see the future and allow him to have the upper hand at any time. This, in itself, was an extraordinary encounter. Father, if little brother has an extraordinary encounter, then so be it. You won't have any designs on him, will you? He-mingshi looked at He-jin cautiously. What kind of person do you think your father is? He-jin glared at He-mingshi. Am I that kind of person in your eyes? Father, if he is just an outsider, not a disciple of the Autumn Valley or the Lightning Sword sect, and not someone I brought back, are you sure you won't have any designs on him? Are you sure you won't have designs on him? He-mingshi asked with a chuckle. All right, hurry up and go back to training. If you don't work hard, that Summer Valley's Lien can might even reach the mid-Dharma stage before you. He-jin glared at He-mingshi again. Also, when your little brother comes out of seclusion, remember to remind him that a man's heart is full of evil. It's better to keep a low profile if possible. By the time He-mingshi relayed He-jin's message to Zhou Dongwang, it was already half a month later. Third senior sister, that was not an extraordinary encounter. It was because of a type of core drug. Zhou Dongwang looked at He-mingshi and smiled. I intend to give one of those core drugs to Dezhuang as well. After Dezhuang consumes the core drug and starts training, you can ask the valley head to come and take a look. But before that, third senior sister, come with me to the Summer Valley. Just now, Zhou Dongwang had seen that He-mingshi was frowning, and it was obvious that she was not in a good mood. After asking, he found out that the Summer Valley disciple, Lien Kan, was causing trouble. Why are you going to the Summer Valley? He-mingshi was stunned. Of course, to meet that Lien Kan. Zhou Dongwang rose into the air, the inner yuan around him withdrawn. He-mingshi was stunned. Little brother, you've broken through? Obviously, He-mingshi could tell that Zhou Dongwang had already reached the Dharma stage. I just broke through a few days ago. Zhou Dongwang smiled lightly. I've been consolidating my training these few days. Otherwise, I would have come out of seclusion long ago. Chapter 239. How did he break through so quickly? He-mingshi was stunned. A 24-year-old Dharma adept? What kind of miraculous encounter had this little brother of hers had? That's not considered fast. Zhou Dongwang shook his head. His progress was much slower than the disciples of the supreme sects and the top families in the top galaxies. There were many who had entered the Dharma stage before the age of 20, and there were many who had entered the Dharma stage before the age of 20. Furthermore, this is all because of the core drug that I mentioned just now. Zhou Donghuang continued, that elixir is a type of ancient elixir, its potency is unimaginable. Third senior sister, how long has De Zhuang attained the ultimate primal core stage? Zhou Donghuang asked. De Zhuang was not much older than him. Almost 2 years. He Mingshi paused for a moment before replying. Zhou Donghuang nodded. When I return from the Summer Valley, I will give De Zhuang an ancient core drug, as long as he has enough spirit stones to set up an energy-gathering formation, he will definitely attain the Dharma stage within a month. Zhou Donghuang's tone was full of confidence, a confidence that no one could doubt. Zhou Donghuang had already tested the potency of the ancient core drug, so he was naturally full of confidence. Zhou Donghuang's confidence shocked He Mingshi. What kind of core drug is that? How can it allow De Zhuang to attain the Dharma stage within a month? Core drug. Zhou Donghuang smiled lightly. It is a core drug that allows golden essence adepts to attain Dharma in a short period of time. However, it is only useful for golden essence adepts. As long as there are enough spirit stones to set up an energy-gathering formation to assist in training, even a golden essence adept who has just entered the ultimate primal core stage will be able to enter the Dharma stage in an extremely short period of time after consuming the developing essence elixir. At this point, Zhou Donghuang paused and looked at He Mingshi before continuing, speaking of which, I used the ancient core drug formula that I obtained from the dream to produce this core drug. The dream. Hearing Zhou Donghuang mention the dream again, He Mingshi gasped inwardly. Now she was even more convinced of everything this little junior brother had said. It was precisely because of this that she couldn't help but feel slightly fortunate. Because the early appearance of this little junior brother would allow her to have the opportunity to change her and her father's fate. Otherwise, her father would die, and she would have to leave the Tailao planet and the Hungliu galaxy. At that moment, He Mingshi's gaze towards Zhou Donghuang became extremely gentle. Little brother, I know that you have just entered the Dharma stage and are full of confidence. Back then, when I had just entered the Dharma stage, I was the same. However, that Lien Kan of the Summer Valley had already entered the Dharma stage a few years ago. Now, he is not far from the mid-Dharma stage. His Dharma power has been tempered for a few years, so it's far stronger than yours. From her words, it was clear that He Mingshi did not think that Zhou Donghuang was a match for Lien Kan. Although we can definitely defeat him if we join forces, there will definitely be people from the Summer Valley who will step forward to help him. If it was just He Mingshi and Lien Kan fighting, no one in the Summer Valley would help Lien Kan. After all, the two of them had similar levels of cultivation. However, once He Mingshi and Zhou Donghuang joined forces to deal with Lien Kan, the people of the Summer Valley would definitely not stand idly by. Join forces? Zhou Donghuang was stunned at first, then he could not help but shake his head and smile. Third sister, there is no need for that. Zhou Donghuang's confident smile also influenced He Mingshi to a certain extent. Could it be that this little brother is really confident? Lien Kan was the adopted son of the Summer Valley head, Lien Kuan. He was also a personal disciple, so he usually stayed at Lien Kuan's residence. As the head of the Summer Valley, although Lien Kuan's residence was not considered luxurious, it was still very spacious. There were also many rooms inside, enough for many people to stay in. Lien Kan, my little brother would like to spar with you. After He Mingshi brought Zhou Donghuang to the residence of the Summer Valley head, Lien Kuan, she spoke loudly, her voice spreading far and wide. In an instant, many disciples of the Summer Valley were attracted over. It's He Mingshi from the Autumn Valley. This He Mingshi came looking for trouble with Pan Yilin half a month ago. It was Lien Kan who stopped her. After that, Lien Kan fought with her, and they were evenly matched. After half a month, why is she here again? And she even said that her little brother wants to spar with Lian Can? The young man in white beside her is the little brother that she mentioned. To the majority of the people of the Summer Valley, Zhou Donghuang was an unfamiliar face. Pan Yilin had come over to join in the fun and recognized Zhou Donghuang immediately. When he recognized him, his face was full of surprise. Isn't that Zhou Donghuang from the Autumn Valley? He has broken through? In Pan Yilin's memory, this Zhou Donghuang was only a golden essence adept about a month ago. In just a month, he had broken through to the Dharma stage? Zhou Donghuang? He's the Zhou Donghuang from the Autumn Valley who indirectly sold many fake goods to the Summer Valley? He's so young? Not only is he young, but he's also a Dharma adept. Pan Yilin's words shocked many of the surrounding Summer Valley disciples. Zhou Donghuang. He actually dares to come to the Summer Valley. Very quickly, Zhong Yin and Fang Baiwei, the two Summer Valley disciples who had bought fake goods from Zhou Donghuang, also arrived and stared at Zhou Donghuang fiercely. Soon after, many elders and disciples of the Summer Valley who had been cheated by Zhou Donghuang also arrived and stared at Zhou Donghuang fiercely. From what He Mingshi said, this Zhou Donghuang is here to challenge Lian Can. I heard from Pan Yilin that Zhou Donghuang was only a golden essence adept a month ago, which means that he has only entered the Dharma stage this month. He has not even entered the Dharma stage for a month, and he actually dares to challenge Lian Can? He's asking to be humiliated. The crowd of Summer Valley disciples did not think that Zhou Donghuang was a match for Lian Can. After all, Lian Can had already entered the Dharma stage a few years ago and was not far from the early Dharma stage now. In these few years, Lian Can had already refined his Dharma to the point where it was almost flawless, and he was also very proficient in using it. It's that girl Mingshi. Although the Summer Valley head, Lian Kuan, was not outside, he could still tell who the person was from the voice. The little brother she mentioned must be Zhou Donghuang. He actually dares to challenge you? Looks like he has some confidence. Lian Kuan looked at Lian Can and asked, "Are you confident? If you are not confident, you don't have to accept this challenge. If you are confident, it's best to accept the challenge. After all, he has indirectly sold many fake goods to the people of the Summer Valley, including some elders. If you can defeat him, you will win the favor of those elders. This is a good thing for you to take over the position of Summer Valley head in the future." Lian Kuan said. From what Lian Kuan had said, it was obvious that he intended to pass on his position as Summer Valley head to his godson and personal disciple, Lian Can. According to the rules of the Lightning Sword sect, as the previous Summer Valley head, he had the right to choose and recommend someone. In fact, as long as Lian Can passed the Lightning Sword sect's test for him as the successor of the Summer Valley head after Lian Kuan's recommendation, he would be able to successfully take over the Summer Valley. Master, from your tone, you think that I might not be a match for Zhou Donghuang? Lian Can smiled and asked, Master, don't you know that he was only a golden essence adept a month ago? I've heard about this. Lian Kuan nodded. But, because of this, things are a little strange. A person who has just entered the Dharma stage dares to challenge you. What gives him the right? Could it be that he came here to humiliate himself? A person who was able to create so many fake goods and even deceive the elders of the Summer Valley, would he be someone who would seek his own humiliation? Lian Kuan's eyes flashed with caution. Master, you are too cautious. Lian Can shook his head and said with a look of disdain, If I, Lian Can, cannot even deal with a young boy who has just entered the Dharma stage, how can I take over the position of Summer Valley head in the future? Master, I will go and meet him. Lian Can bade farewell to Lian Kuan and walked out. Don't be careless. Be prepared to use your ultimate Dharma spirit weapon at any time. When Lian Can was about to leave, Lian Kuan, who was behind him, reminded him in a timely manner. Yes. Lian Can responded somewhat perfunctorily. In his eyes, a young boy who had just entered the Dharma stage less than a month ago was not worth using unless the other party had a Dharma spirit weapon first. Forget it, if he loses, it will be a lesson to let him know that there are always people better than you out there. Although Lien Kuan had never seen Zhou Donghuang before, his understanding of Zhou Donghuang was still based on Zhou Donghuang's brilliant forgery skills. But just this alone made him not dare to underestimate Zhou Donghuang. Today, Zhou Donghuang had taken the initiative to challenge his disciple, Lien Kan. This action showed that Zhou Donghuang had absolute confidence in this battle. Lien Kan. After Lien Kan left, Lien Kuan called out loudly, his voice like a clap of thunder. In a duel between fellow disciples, don't overdo it. It's the Valley Head's voice. Looks like the Valley Head is worried that Lien Kan will go too far and cripple Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang took the initiative to challenge Lien Kan. As long as Lien Kan does not kill him, even if he cripples him, the sect will not pursue the matter. Outside, the crowd of elders and disciples of the Summer Valley who were watching felt that the Summer Valley Head, Lien Kuan, had the intention to protect Zhou Donghuang. Yes, master. Although Lien Kan was somewhat unwilling, he did not dare to go against his master's words, so he responded respectfully. Lien Kan, seeing Lien Kan's unwillingness, Zhou Donghuang narrowed his eyes and said coldly, "If you are unwilling to stop, then let's set this duel as long as no one dies. Everything else is up to you. How about that?" As soon as he said this, Zhou Donghuang's eyes flashed coldly. Just as the crowd of Summer Valley disciples felt that Zhou Donghuang did not know what was good for him and Lien Kan was about to agree, a dark expression appeared on his face. The voice of the Summer Valley Head, Lien Kuan, rang out once again. "Zhou Donghuang, your Autumn Valley Head and I are fellow disciples of the same master. There are some things that we should not do to each other." Chapter 240. The group of people from the Summer Valley, upon hearing Lien Kuan's words, only thought. At this moment, Lien Kuan had suggested this sparring session not only because he wanted to help Zhou Donghuang, but also because he wanted to remind Zhou Donghuang that if he did not embarrass him today, Zhou Donghuang would not harm the Summer Valley with fake goods in the future. "Since Valley Master has personally spoken, I will give you face. In today's spar with your disciple, I will not go overboard. I will just defeat him." Zhou Donghuang's lips curled into a playful smile. If there was anyone who understood Lien Kuan's words, it was definitely Zhou Donghuang himself. As for the other person, it was Lien Kan. "Does Master have so little confidence in me?" Lien Kan's expression was extremely ugly. As for the group of people from the Summer Valley, after hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, they all looked at him with disdain and sarcasm, thinking that he was boasting shamelessly. "Make your move." Zhou Donghuang stepped forward and faced Lien Kan. He said calmly, "I still have things to do. The sooner I defeat you, the sooner I can go back." Arrogant. Lien Kan's eyes flashed coldly, and his expression darkened. "You, Zhou Donghuang, are just an adept who entered the Dharma stage less than a month ago, and you dare to dream of defeating me? What a joke. Today, I will let you know that there is always someone better than you." As soon as he finished speaking, the inner yuan in Lien Kan's body surged out. In an instant, the Dharma power of an early Dharma adept appeared and floated above his head with a domineering aura. It was the giant palm Dharma that had pressed De Zhuang to the ground in the past. "You broke through less than a month ago, so you probably did not even have time to train your Dharma, right? Today, I will let you know the difference between your Dharma and my Dharma." Lien Kan looked at Zhou Donghuang and laughed coldly. "Now, show me your Dharma." "As you wish." Zhou Donghuang glanced at Lien Kan, and the inner yuan in his body vibrated. One of the four beast-shaped Dharma powers in his elixir field suddenly emitted waves of powerful inner yuan that flowed through Zhou Donghuang's body and exited his body. Ever since he had entered the Dharma stage, the four golden essences in Zhou Donghuang's elixir field had completely merged with his Dharma power. To be precise, it was because the golden elixir had become a part of the Dharma power, causing the Dharma power to be condensed and almost materialized. In the past, Zhou Donghuang's inner yuan came from the primal core. Now, his spiritual ether came from his Dharma power. Of course, most people only had one Dharma power in their dantian. Because he had cultivated the Lord of the Four Supremes, he had 4 Dharma powers in his body, and they were 4 completely different Dharma powers. One was a dragon, one was a tiger, one was a bird, and one was a turtle. They were the Dharma powers of the 4 divine beasts. However, the 4 Dharma powers in Zhou Donghuang's body did not seem to have fully developed. The azure dragon resembled a snake, the white tiger resembled a cat, the vermilion bird resembled a bird, and the black tortoise resembled a little turtle. Roar, however, although the white tiger Dharma power in Zhou Donghuang's body was a little shabby and looked like a kitten, when it appeared, the 3-meter-tall white tiger Dharma power looked majestic. When it roared, it had the aura of the king of all beasts. Within 10 moves, I will defeat you. Seeing Zhou Donghuang's Dharma power appear, Lian Can, who had long been impatient, spoke in a low voice. His entire body seemed to transform into a bolt of lightning as he charged towards Zhou Donghuang. Along with him, his 10-foot-tall, materialized Dharma form also flew out. Whoosh! Whoosh! The giant Dharma power swept through the air, and because it was moving so quickly, the air around it emitted a sharp, piercing sound. This sound was also ear-piercing, as if it had come from the depths of hell, and it seemed to be able to pierce through one's eardrums. As Lian Can charged towards Zhou Donghuang, his gaze was cold. 10 moves was his conservative estimate. He felt that within 5 moves, at most, he would be able to defeat Zhou Donghuang. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Zhou Donghuang stood there, and the 3-meter-tall white tiger Dharma power that had risen from his body had already crouched down. Its eyes were closed from time to time, and it yawned lazily, as if it was about to fall asleep at any moment. This Zhou Donghuang, could it be that he has been scared silly? This should be his first battle after attaining the Dharma stage. It's normal for him to be scared silly. Lian Can and his giant Dharma power approached Zhou Donghuang in the blink of an eye. They were not far from Zhou Donghuang, but Zhou Donghuang still did not move an inch. Behind them, the crowd of Summer Valley disciples was in an uproar. At this moment, even He Mingxi, who was standing at the side, could not help but change her expression. Little brother, Zhou Donghuang, it seems that I have overestimated you. One move, just one move, and I will be able to defeat you. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang still did not move even after he had gathered his strength, Lian Can was ecstatic. His eyes shone with excitement, and he raised his hand suddenly. Instantly, his giant Dharma power seemed to sense something, and it followed his movement and slammed down towards Zhou Donghuang and his white tiger Dharma power. Little brother. He Mingxi's expression changed again, and she subconsciously let out a cry of surprise. Boom! Kaboom! Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Lian Can's giant Dharma power was like a small mountain as it slammed down towards Zhou Donghuang and his white tiger Dharma power. It was as if it had the power of thunder, and its momentum was fierce. Just as the people of the Summer Valley felt that Zhou Donghuang was about to be defeated by Lian Can in one move, at this critical moment, Zhou Donghuang's calm eyes suddenly froze. In the next moment, the white tiger Dharma power, which had been lying lazily in the air, also stood up excitedly. Facing the approaching giant Dharma power, it actually leapt into the air and pounced towards it, not caring that the giant Dharma power was less than 10 meters away from it. It's too late. Lian Can has made the first move, and his Dharma power has the absolute advantage. The people of the Summer Valley who were watching could almost see the scene of the white tiger Dharma power being destroyed by the giant Dharma power. Boom! When the giant tiger Dharma idol clashed with the giant palm Dharma idol, which had the upper hand by striking first, a loud sound rang out. Frightening true yuan wreaked havoc in the void, colliding with each other, causing gusts of wind to appear out of nowhere, sweeping in all directions with great momentum. In the next moment, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the white tiger Dharma power collided with the giant Dharma power and dispersed the giant Dharma power. The inner yuan that had been gathered dissipated in an instant, and it was all for naught. Boom! Pooh! After the giant Dharma power had been destroyed, the recoil from the inner yuan landed on Lien Kan's body and sent him flying. At this moment, Lien Kan's face alternated between green and white, and he could not help but open his mouth and spit out a mouthful of blood. His aura was weak, and it was obvious that he had been seriously injured. Roar! The white tiger Dharma power stood in the air and opened its mouth to let out a loud roar. It was like the king of all beasts, declaring its absolute authority that could not be challenged. Even after Zhou Donghuang had kept the white tiger Dharma power, the scene was still in a dead silence. Little brother? He Mingxi was the first to recover, and she looked at Zhou Donghuang as if she had seen a ghost. He really just entered the Dharma stage? He Mingxi was shocked. He had just entered the Dharma stage and he was already so strong? When he advanced further, how terrifying would he be? Even now, not to mention other places, there was no early Dharma adept in the Lightning Sword sect who could be a match for her little brother. No. Impossible. Impossible. In the distant sky, Lien Kan, who was barely standing with Pan Yilan's support, looked at Zhou Donghuang again, his eyes full of disbelief and confusion. Even in his wildest dreams, he could not have imagined an adept who had just entered the Dharma stage less than a month ago had been able to defeat him in one blow, even though he had the advantage of attacking first. In a daze, Lien Kan thought of his own master's words. Now, it seemed that his master's concerns were not wrong. His opponent had come looking for him because he had absolute confidence in his own abilities. Third sister, it seems that Lien Kan will not be able to help Pan Yilan now. Didn't you want to help De Zhuang vent his anger? Before the group of Summer Valley disciples had time to fully recover, Zhou Donghuang looked at He Mingxi and called out to her. At the same time, He Mingxi's eyes lit up, and she flew towards Pan Yilan, who had a look of fear on his face. Without any suspense, Pan Yilan was beaten up by He Mingxi. His face was pale and his breathing was weak. Throughout the entire process, he did not even have the courage to fight back, because he knew that fighting back would be useless, and he might even anger his opponent further. Third sister, let's go back. After glancing at the people of the Summer Valley, Zhou Donghuang and He Mingxi left the Summer Valley together. From beginning to end, no one from the Summer Valley stopped them. Zhou Donghuang had injured Lien Kan during a sparring match. Although He Mingxi had been rude to injure Pan Yilan, considering her status as someone that even the law enforcement hall did not dare to provoke, they naturally would not be so stupid as to provoke her. Furthermore, Pan Yilan had only suffered a superficial wound and was not seriously injured. That Autumn Valley disciple, Zhou Donghuang, really just entered the Dharma stage recently? Many elders and disciples of the Summer Valley had doubts about this. Of those present, only Lien Kan and Pan Yilan were certain. A month ago, Zhou Donghuang had indeed not yet entered the Dharma stage. He had only been a golden essence adept like the Autumn Valley disciple, De Zhuang. Master. Lien Kan returned to Lien Kuan with a bitter expression on his face. I was too careless. I did not expect his abilities to be so strong that he could defeat me with just one blow. One blow? Although Lien Kuan knew that Lien Kan had fought with Zhou Donghuang outside and had lost, he did not know that Lien Kan had been defeated with just one blow. His eyes narrowed involuntarily. How did he defeat you? Was it under the preemptive strike and when he had the upper hand? From Lien Kuan's perspective, if the opponent had struck first and had the upper hand, defeating his careless godson in one blow was shocking, but it was not impossible. No, Lien Kan said sadly. Lien Kan said with a gloomy expression, I was the one who took the initiative and gained the upper hand. He just made a move in a hurry. At that time, my Dharma power was only 10 meters away from his Dharma power before he struck. Chapter 241. What? As soon as Lien Kan finished speaking, Lien Kuan's expression changed drastically, and he could no longer maintain his previous calm. He was able to defeat you in one blow, even when you had the upper hand. Are you sure he was just an early Dharma adept? Are you sure he was just a golden essence adept a month ago? Lien Kuan stared at Lien Kan as he asked in a low voice. A month ago, I saw him descending from the sky, surrounded by golden inner yuan, and today, his Dharma power is only 10 feet tall. Lien Kan said. A Dharma power that was 10 feet tall was the hallmark of an early Dharma adept. How is that possible? Lien Kuan's face was full of disbelief. He was also an early Dharma adept like you, and he had just reached the Dharma stage not long ago. How could he have defeated you in one blow under such circumstances? Master. Lien Kan smiled bitterly. I'm not too sure why exactly, but the problem must have been with the Dharma power that he had formed. His giant tiger Dharma power attacked my giant palm Dharma power at the last moment, and it was difficult for him to use his full strength, but even so, my giant palm Dharma power was like a piece of paper in front of his giant tiger Dharma power, and it was easily defeated. At this point, a look of fear flashed across Lien Kan's eyes. I've sparred with a mid-Dharma stage senior in the valley before. Even that senior's 3-foot Dharma power exerted pressure on my 10-foot Dharma power might not even be able to compare to his 10-foot giant tiger Dharma power. The Dharma power of a mid-Dharma adept was 3 feet tall, and its power was so strong that it could crush the 10-foot Dharma power of an early Dharma adept. But now, Lien Kan said, even the 3-foot Dharma power of a mid-Dharma disciple of the Summer Valley might not be able to compare to the Dharma power of the Autumn Valley disciple. His Dharma power seems to have been trained to a terrifying extreme. Although the inner yuan contained within it is not stronger than my inner yuan, it is flawless and airtight. On the other hand, my Dharma idol is full of loopholes in front of his Dharma idol, and his Dharma idol can make use of all the flaws in my Dharma idol. My Dharma power originally didn't have many flaws. However, in the brief confrontation with the giant tiger Dharma power, it was at a disadvantage time and time again. There were so many flaws that it directly defeated me. I think even the Dharma power of an ultimate Dharma adept might not be as well trained as his. At this point, Lien Kan's eyes were filled with a complicated look. I wonder how he managed to train his Dharma power. It hasn't even been a month since he entered the Dharma stage, yet he managed to train his Dharma power to such an incredible level. Heaven-defying. In Lien Kan's eyes, the Dharma power of the Autumn Valley disciple Zhou Donghuang was indeed heaven-defying. The true origin contained in the unassailable 10-feet Dharma idol was not as strong as that of a 10-feet Dharma idol of the same level, but it was so strong that it suppressed most 30-feet Dharma idols. It had to be known that the true essence intensity of a 30-zhang Dharma idol was more than twice as strong as a 10-zhang Dharma idol. A 10-zhang Dharma power without any flaws? Lien Kuan's eyes narrowed. Even an ultimate Dharma adept would not dare to say that his Dharma is flawless. Although the Dharma of an ultimate Dharma adept has gone through a series of training, and there are very few flaws, there are still some. Usually, when an ultimate Dharma adept attacks, the most they can do is hide their flaws perfectly. Lien Kuan obviously did not believe Lien Kan's words. He did not think that Zhou Donghuang's Dharma power was flawless. However, the strength of Zhou Donghuang's Dharma power and the degree of training it was no less than that of an ultimate Dharma adept was something that Lien Kuan believed. Otherwise, Zhou Donghuang would not have been able to defeat his godson, Lien Kan, so easily. Lien Kan was not just an idiot, but he was also one of the best of the few disciples under Lien Kuan. If nothing went wrong, he would definitely become a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. That girl from junior brother He's family. Where did she find such a monster? From Lien Kuan's point of view, such a monster should not have appeared in the Lightning Sword sect, or even in the Hunglio galaxy. Even the two transcendental forces of the Hunglio galaxy could not have produced such a monster. After returning to the Autumn Valley with He Mingxi, Zhou Donghuang brought her directly to find De Zhuang and gave him a developing essence. De Zhuang, after you take this developing essence, you will definitely enter the Dharma stage within a month. After saying this, Zhou Donghuang helped De Zhuang set up a energy-gathering spell. To save time, he took out 20,000 mid-quality spirit stones. 20,000 spirit stones were spread throughout every corner of De Zhuang's room. The reason why he took out 20,000 mid-quality spirit stones at once to set up the energy-gathering spell was because he did not want to set up another one for De Zhuang in the future. 20,000 mid-quality spirit stones to set up a energy-gathering spell should be enough. It should be enough for De Zhuang to enter the Dharma stage. Zhou Donghuang thought to himself. For him to enter the early Dharma stage from the ultimate primal core stage, 4 golden essence adepts had taken half a month, and he had spent a total of 50,000 mid-quality spirit stones. In his opinion, even if he considered that he was more talented than De Zhuang, 20,000 mid-quality spirit stones should be enough for De Zhuang to enter the early Dharma stage within a month. After all, De Zhuang was no longer training in the techniques of the past, but the top techniques of the universe, the Fiery Thunder Training Regimen. Little brother, where did you get so many spirit stones? While De Zhuang was training behind closed doors, He Mingxi, who was in the courtyard, looked at Zhou Donghuang in shock. That's 20,000 mid-quality spirit stones, in your hometown, the Ziyun planet. The 5 inferior quality spirit stone mines add up to only about 10,000 inferior quality spirit stones a year. 20,000 mid-quality spirit stones was equivalent to 200,000 inferior quality spirit stones. The entire spirit stone mine of the Ziyun planet would take 20 years to mine, and this was under the assumption that not a single spirit stone was used in 20 years. Because of this, He Mingxi found it hard to imagine where Zhou Donghuang had gotten so many spirit stones. Third sister, in the dream that involved a period of time in the future, there was a mention of the final resting place of some ultimate Dharma adepts. In the dream, those places were all taken by others, and I could only look on in envy. And now, through the memories of the future in the dream, I've taken the first step to take the things that those ultimate Dharma adepts left behind in their final resting places. Zhou Donghuang smiled. Zhou Donghuang knew his third sister very well, and he knew that if he did not explain clearly where the spirit stones had come from, she would definitely feel uneasy. And now, his response to He Mingxi was perfect and flawless. This works. He Mingxi was dumbfounded, and after a while, she felt that this was the only explanation. Otherwise, based on her little brother's ability, after leaving the remote galaxy where the Ziyun planet was located, it would have been impossible for him to obtain so many spirit stones in such a short period of time. Suddenly, He Mingxi seemed to have sensed something, and her eyes narrowed. In the next moment, she looked at the door to De Zhuang's room. She could vaguely see a spirit weapon that had turned into a mist and was entering De Zhuang's room through the gap in the door. At the same time, she could clearly feel the thick spirit energy from all directions sweeping towards her, with De Zhuang's room as the center. The abnormality in De Zhuang's room attracted the attention of the Autumn Valley head, He Jin. In a moment, He Jin landed beside Zhou Donghuang and He Mingxi. Looking at De Zhuang's room, his expression changed slightly. Spirit energy turning into mist? What's going on? He Jin looked at Zhou Donghuang suspiciously. In his opinion, this could not have been done by his daughter, and he knew very well what his daughter was capable of. Little brother gave De Zhuang an ancient core drug called the Developing Essence, and then used 20,000 mid-level spirit stones to set up an energy-gathering formation for him. Seeing that Zhou Donghuang was looking at her, He Mingxi spoke on his behalf. Originally, when little brother said that De Zhuang would be able to enter the Dharma stage within a month, I didn't believe him, but now, I have no choice but to believe him. Developing essence? An ancient core drug? He Jin was not surprised by the energy-gathering formation because he knew how to set it up. However, he had never heard of an ancient core drug like the developing essence. At the same time, he also realized the scene outside Zhou Donghuang's room for the past 2 weeks had now shifted to De Zhuang's room. Little brother said that the developing essence is an ancient core drug. After a golden essence adept consumes it, he can enter the Dharma stage in a short time, He Mingxi said. He Mingxi said, for example, little brother entered the Dharma stage a few days ago. When He Jin heard He Mingxi's words, his eyes widened in shock. He Mingxi continued. He said that De Zhuang will be able to enter the Dharma stage within a month. How is that possible? He Jin could not help but exclaim. De Zhuang entered the ultimate primal core stage not too long ago. How can he enter the Dharma stage within a month? He Jin felt that it was impossible. However, 26 days later, when De Zhuang came out, he gave He Jin an unprecedented shock. De Zhuang had really entered the Dharma stage. Little brother, thank you. De Zhuang bowed to Zhou Donghuang in gratitude. His expression was extremely sincere, and his eyes were filled with determination. It was as if he had made a decision. It was also at this moment that Zhou Donghuang's position in De Zhuang's heart was no less than that of He Mingxi. De Zhuang, protect third sister well in the future. Your current ability is no weaker than hers. You have enough ability to protect her. Zhou Donghuang smiled at De Zhuang. De Zhuang did not say anything, but He Mingxi, who was at the side, was unhappy. Little brother, I know that you have just entered the Dharma stage, but you already have incredible battle power and defeated Lian Can of the Summer Valley with one blow. However, I know De Zhuang's abilities very well. He has just entered the Dharma stage, so he is no match for me. Although He Jin had long heard that Zhou Donghuang had defeated the Summer Valley disciple, Lian Can, with a single blow, he was still shocked. But now, hearing his own daughter bring it up again, He Jin's gaze towards Zhou Donghuang became much more complicated. End of this chapter. Chapter 242. Third senior sister, you underestimate De Zhuang. Zhou Donghuang shook his head. What? From what you're saying, De Zhuang has just broken through and is already stronger than me? Little junior brother, De Zhuang is not you. He Mingxi clearly did not believe him. De Zhuang, spar with third senior sister. Zhou Donghuang smiled as he looked at De Zhuang. De Zhuang hurriedly shook his head. No. I can't. I can't fight with senior sister. De Zhuang, it's just a spar. Zhou Donghuang's calmness made He Mingxi a little uneasy. She looked at De Zhuang and said, since little junior brother is so confident in you, I want to see how strong you are now. If you can really defeat senior sister will be happy for you. He Mingxi looked at De Zhuang, her gaze full of motherly love. He Mingxi's words made De Zhuang's eyes light up. He smiled and shook his head. Senior sister, I am definitely not your match. Whoosh. He Mingxi rose into the air and stood in the air, looking down at De Zhuang. De Zhuang, come. Go. Seeing De Zhuang look over, Zhou Donghuang smiled. Don't hold back, or third senior sister will not be happy. Yes. De Zhuang, if you dare to hold back when sparring with me, I will be very unhappy. He Mingxi agreed. She also wanted to see where Zhou Donghuang's confidence in De Zhuang came from. He Jin didn't say a word from beginning to end. He just quietly watched as De Zhuang rose into the air and faced his daughter He Mingxi. From what he saw, De Zhuang, who had just broken through to the Dharma stage, was definitely not a match for his daughter. However, Zhou Donghuang's confidence made him waver. Although he had not interacted with Zhou Donghuang before, this young fellow had given him too many surprises. First, he had tricked the people of the Summer Valley with a fake, And then, he had defeated Lien Kan, the proud disciple of the Summer Valley Head, just a few days after breaking through to the Dharma stage. Now, he also knew that Zhou Donghuang could produce an ancient core medicine known as the Developing Essence, which had helped De Zhuang enter the Dharma stage in a short month. Defeating Lien Kan when he had just entered the Dharma stage and helping De Zhuang enter the Dharma stage were two of the most shocking things he had ever done. De Zhuang has switched to cultivating the Fiery Thunder training regimen. If I'm not mistaken, he will condense the Fiery Thunder Dharma form. Just as Zhou Donghuang's heart skipped a beat, he saw De Zhuang rise into the air to face him. He Mingxi, who had been waiting for a chance, began to gather her inner yuan. In the blink of an eye, a 3-meter-tall Dharma idol extended from her body. The Dharma idol was a 3-meter-long giant sword. After it condensed, it emitted bursts of fierce and sharp aura. The true origin sword aura on it flickered like a python hissing, accumulating power and waiting to be unleashed. De Zhuang, give it your all. Let me see how strong you are now that you've reached the Dharma stage. In the blink of an eye, He Mingxi's giant sword Dharma appeared beneath her feet, carried her through the air, circling around De Zhuang. Yes, senior sister. At the same time, De Zhuang's Dharma power appeared at the same time. It was a ball of scorching flames. Within the flames there were white bolts of lightning. From time to time, there would be a soft sound of thunder. It was especially ear-piercing compared to the sound of the burning flames. What kind of Dharma is this? He Mingxi was stunned. Based on her understanding of De Zhuang's techniques, after he entered the Dharma stage, he should be able to condense a blade Dharma. However, the Dharma idol that De Zhuang was displaying now surprised her greatly. At this moment, not only He Mingxi, but even He Jin, the Autumn Valley Head, was stunned. He knew the techniques that De Zhuang practiced. Unless he switched to another technique, he would definitely be able to condense a blade Dharma. De Zhuang, could it be that he switched to another technique? He Jin subconsciously looked at the young man in white who was standing not far away. He saw that the young man's face was calm, and he did not seem surprised by De Zhuang's Dharma. It was as if he had already known that De Zhuang's Dharma would be the Fiery Thunder Dharma. De Zhuang, I'm going to attack. Although she was surprised by the Dharma idol that De Zhuang had condensed, He Mingxi did not think too much about it. She called out to De Zhuang, then activated the giant sword Dharma beneath her feet and flew towards De Zhuang, attacking him with the sword. Whoosh! The giant sword Dharma sliced through the air, and an ear-piercing sound rang out. The air currents in the air were completely split apart by the giant sword Dharma. Waves of bone-chilling wind howled out from both sides of the giant sword Dharma, sweeping towards Zhou Donghuang and He Jin, who were watching the battle from below. The wind caused their robes to flutter loudly. Faced with the giant sword Dharma, De Zhuang's eyes flashed with a look of panic. After all, this was his first time fighting against a Dharma adept. Furthermore, this was a Dharma adept who had condensed a giant sword Dharma, a Dharma adept that specialized in killing. Once he attacked, the wind howled, and the sword seemed to be able to destroy everything. De Zhuang, don't forget that you are also a Dharma adept now. Zhou Donghuang saw the panic in De Zhuang's eyes, and he reminded him. He could understand what De Zhuang was feeling now. Years ago, when he had just entered the Dharma stage, the first time he had fought against another Dharma adept, he had been like this. Just as he heard Zhou Donghuang's reminder, De Zhuang's face hardened. His body was like a python surrounded by lightning, and in an instant it exploded. Immediately, his entire body brought with it the thunder and fire Dharma, and it met He Mingxi's lightning-fast sword that sliced through the air. Just as De Zhuang sprinted forward, his eyes stared directly at the sword that was flying towards him. He instinctively wanted to avoid it, but his intuition told him that he could easily block this sword. All the muscles in his body tensed up, and he was ready to attack. This feeling also made him feel like he was being controlled by a ghost. For some reason, he struck out with both his palms to meet the giant sword Dharma that was coming at him. At first, seeing this, He Mingshi's expression changed slightly, and she withdrew her strength. However, she realized that De Zhuang's hands were wide open, and his hands were surrounded by lightning and fire. His hands were able to clamp down on her giant sword Dharma power. Her giant sword Dharma power could not advance any further. Moreover, she tried to exert more force, but the giant sword Dharma power did not budge. It was only when she used all her strength that she realized that the giant sword Dharma was trembling slightly. Even so, De Zhuang was still able to completely bind the giant sword Dharma. No matter how hard she struggled, the giant sword Dharma could not escape from De Zhuang's hands. How is this possible? This made He Mingshi feel extremely incredulous. De Zhuang had just broken through to the Dharma stage, so how could he so easily block her sword Dharma? Furthermore, now that De Zhuang's hands were like iron pincers, her sword Dharma could not move at all. Senior sister, continue to use more strength. De Zhuang looked at He Mingshi in confusion, thinking that she was going easy on him. He smiled and said, Senior sister, you don't have to hold back. De Zhuang can take it. Use more strength? If she did not know that De Zhuang would not say such things on purpose, He Mingshi would have suspected that he was purposely teasing her. De Zhuang, I've already used all my strength. He Mingshi smiled bitterly. Huh! De Zhuang was stunned and his jaw dropped. Senior sister, you've already used all your strength? In terms of brute force, I'm not as good as you. Now let go, He Mingshi said gently. I'll try to attack you. Slow reactions are also your weakness. This is a good opportunity for me to test your reaction speed now that you've entered the Dharma stage. Alright. De Zhuang nodded like a woodpecker and immediately let go of He Mingshi's giant sword Dharma, allowing it to move again. Although He Mingshi could also give up on the giant sword Dharma, if she did that, the inner yuan in her dantian would be greatly depleted. The next time she formed her Dharma, her strength would be far weaker than it was now, and she would not be a match for De Zhuang. De Zhuang's reaction speed was always slow, and this was also a weakness of his. In the past, after he had entered the Lightning Sword sect and entered the Autumn Valley, he had sparred with many disciples of the same level of training as him, and he had lost every single time. He was strong, but his reaction speed could not keep up with others' attacks. In the end, he could only become a target for others. Now, He Mingshi saw that De Zhuang, who had just entered the Dharma stage, already had such strength. She wanted to test his reaction speed to see if it was still the same as before, or if it was still his weakness. Whoosh! When He Mingshi's sword flew towards De Zhuang's back, his brain could not react at all. However, the muscles on his back instantly tightened, and the thunder and fire Dharma on his body roared backwards. It was like a thunder and fire beast opening its bloody mouth to meet He Mingshi's sword. However, because the thunder and fire Dharma was defending on its own, its power was not as strong as when De Zhuang had used it to attack. Even so, it was still able to block He Mingshi's sword. It was as if her sword had stabbed into a ball of cotton, and it was difficult to move forward or out. Ah! At this time, De Zhuang slowly turned around. Seeing the giant sword in front of him, he instinctively slapped out, and the thunder and fire palm flew out, destroying nearly half of the giant sword Dharma. He Mingshi also suffered from the impact of the inner yuan, and she spat out a mouthful of blood. Senior sister. Seeing that he had injured He Mingshi, De Zhuang's expression changed, and his face was full of panic. Senior sister, I didn't do it on purpose, I didn't do it on purpose. However, although He Mingshi was injured, it was only a minor injury. She ignored De Zhuang's panic, and in a flash, the inner yuan in her energy center surged out, once again restoring her giant sword Dharma to its peak state. At the same time, she stepped on the giant sword Dharma and flew around De Zhuang. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. In an instant, He Mingxi had attacked De Zhuang from hundreds of different angles with her sword. De Zhuang's reflexes were slow to begin with, so how could he react? However, at this moment, De Zhuang's thunder and fire dharma gathered together, and then condensed on the surface of his body. It was as if it had transformed into a flaming armor that was surrounded by thunder and lightning. No matter how much the sword slashed down, there was only a slight ripple on the surface. Throughout the entire process, De Zhuang was unharmed. End of this chapter. Chapter 243. What a perfect dharma! While He Mingxi could not do anything to De Zhuang, the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, looked at the lightning flames that covered De Zhuang's body, and his eyes lit up. Even among ultimate dharma adepts, he had never seen such a perfect dharma power. What technique did De Zhuang switch to? He Jin knew very well that, based on De Zhuang's foundation, to form such a perfect dharma, the technique he switched to would have to be a very advanced one. This was because the more profound a cultivation method was, the smaller the flaws and the more perfect the dharma idol would be. This was the iron law of the boundless universe's cultivation world. Previously, he had guessed that De Zhuang had switched to another technique. Now, seeing how perfect De Zhuang's dharma was, he confirmed his guess. De Zhuang's technique was more advanced than any of the lightning sword sex technique. The lightning sword sex techniques, even the lightning sword technique, could not produce such a perfect dharma. In fact, in the history of the lightning sword sect, there might not even have been a single practitioner of the lightning sword technique who had managed to train his dharma power to the point where it was as perfect as De Zhuang's dharma power when he was at the ultimate dharma stage. Even if there were, such people were few and far between. At least, He Jin had never seen one. De Zhuang, what kind of dharma is this? He Mingxi was shocked to see that she had attacked consecutively, intending to overwhelm De Zhuang. However, De Zhuang's dharma form was still able to easily block her attacks. She was not surprised that a dharma would protect its owner. What surprised her was that, under normal circumstances, the power of a dharma protecting its owner was not as strong as a dharma adept's dharma. However, De Zhuang's dharma, even though he was not the one controlling it, was still able to easily block all of her attacks. This made her both depressed and aggrieved. She had attacked him so hard, but by the time he reacted, his dharma had blocked all of my attacks? Senior sister, I don't know either. De Zhuang shook his head. You don't know either? He Mingxi stared at him in disbelief. That's your dharma, how can you not know? De Zhuang seemed to have something he could not say, and as he hesitated, he looked pleadingly at Zhou Donghuang. At this moment, both He Mingxi and He Jin looked at Zhou Donghuang. I've imparted a new technique to De Zhuang. To him, third senior sister He Mingxi was not an outsider, and as her father, He Jin, was not an outsider either. As expected, He Jin's heart skipped a beat. Although he had previously felt that his guess was definitely correct, with Zhou Donghuang's confirmation, it gave him a completely different feeling. A new cultivation method? He Mingxi's eyes lit up, and she subconsciously looked at Zhou Donghuang with a look of desire in her eyes. However, she seemed to realize that she was being rude and looked away awkwardly. De Zhuang chuckled. Senior sister, junior brother said that he has a more suitable technique for you. De Zhuang's words caused He Mingxi's darkened eyes to light up again. Third senior sister, I wrote down this technique for you and the Valley Chief. It can be practiced all the way to the ultimate divine transformation stage. However, it's best not to let anyone else know about this technique. Otherwise, you will be in deep trouble. As Zhou Donghuang spoke, his expression turned serious. He would naturally not be stingy with his third senior sister, He Mingxi, and her father He Jin. However, he had to warn them. As he spoke, Zhou Donghuang took out a piece of paper from his space ring and handed it to He Mingxi. This technique is called the Thousand-Star Sword Technique, and it is a very advanced swordsmanship technique. Once you completely switch to this technique, De Zhuang will not be your match in a short period of time. This is because his reaction time is his weakness. However, in the future, as De Zhuang's cultivation base increases, the technique he cultivates will subtly strengthen his weaknesses until they completely disappear. When that time comes, even if you're at the same cultivation base, you'll at most be able to fight him to a draw. Of course, if you fight him to the death, you will have a higher chance of winning. These two cultivation techniques are of the same level. The Thousand-Star Sword technique focuses on killing, while the Fiery Thunder training regimen that De Zhuang cultivates is an offensive and defensive technique. The Thousand-Star Sword technique that I am giving you now is not complete. When you reach the ultimate divine transformation stage, I will give you the rest of the technique. Zhou Donghuang said. The Thousand-Star Sword technique? It's of the same level as De Zhuang's technique? After hearing Zhou Donghuang's words, both He Mingxi and He Jin's breathing quickened in that instant. Remember what I said, Zhou Donghuang reminded them. Whether it is the Thousand-Star Sword technique that was given to you or the Fiery Thunder training regimen that was given to De Zhuang, they are both very advanced techniques. Once they are exposed, there will be no place for you in the Hongliu galaxy. Understood. He Mingxi nodded seriously. Although she had not known Zhou Donghuang for long, she had never seen him so serious before. It was not difficult for her to understand the gravity of the situation. As for He Jin, the Autumn Valley head, he had already scanned the surroundings to see if anyone was hiding nearby and eavesdropping. After confirming that there was no one, he secretly heaved a sigh of relief. Little brother. Just then, He Mingxi seemed to suddenly remember something and looked at Zhou Donghuang. Why don't we tell my father about this? Now, I don't think he will suspect that what you said is false. The Thousand-Star Sword technique was definitely a technique that far surpassed any other in the Hongliu galaxy. Now, Zhou Donghuang had even passed this technique on to her father. Even if she told her father about what Zhou Donghuang had told her before, her father would definitely believe her. Zhou Donghuang nodded and said with a serious expression, but we cannot let anyone else know. Of course. He Mingxi also nodded seriously. This matter concerned her father's life and death, so she naturally could not do anything rash. What is it? At this time, He Jin looked at Zhou Donghuang and his daughter with a puzzled expression, his eyes filled with confusion. Valley Master, you should go back with third senior sister and listen to her in detail. Zhou Donghuang smiled. Zhou Donghuang trusted He Mingxi unconditionally because he knew what kind of person He Mingxi was from his previous life. Even if he didn't have that so-called dream of the future, she would definitely not betray him if he gave her the Thousand-Star Sword technique and gave her a fortuitous encounter. After all, she was the kind of person who was obsessed with the principle of a drop of kindness should be repaid with a spring of gratitude. As for He Mingxi's father, He Jin, although he had not interacted with him in his previous life, He Mingxi had mentioned him more than once. He Mingxi's personality was basically like her father's. Furthermore, according to He Mingxi in his previous life, not only had De Zhuang died for her, but her father, He Jin, had also given up a chance at survival for her. He had not hesitated to sacrifice his own life for his only daughter. Having lived for 1,000 years in his previous life, Zhou Donghuang was not stupid. Naturally, he would not easily put himself in danger. He Mingxi and He Jin were both trustworthy people. De Zhuang. At the same time, Zhou Donghuang looked at De Zhuang and reminded him, from today onwards, don't easily show off your abilities in front of others. If you want to show off your abilities in front of others, you have to wait until you reach the ultimate Dharma stage. Before that, keep a low profile. Why? De Zhuang was puzzled. At the same time, his eyes were filled with confusion and disappointment. He had just been thinking that he would often find people to spar with in the future and let them know that he, De Zhuang, could easily defeat those of the same level of practice as him, and that he was not the trash that they said he was. If you don't want third sister and me to die, you better do as I say. Zhou Donghuang could not be bothered to explain to De Zhuang. Although he could explain, with De Zhuang's slow brain, it would definitely take him a long time to explain. In his heart, he knew very well. Today, De Zhuang had just broken through to the Dharma stage, and he had already displayed such abilities with his fire and thunder Dharma power. His third sister, He Mingxi, was still alright, but the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, must have long guessed that De Zhuang had switched to training in an extremely powerful technique. Otherwise, De Zhuang would not have been able to have such an incredible transformation. After all, He Jin was very clear about De Zhuang's past, and so were many people in the Lightning Sword sect. But Zhou Donghuang was different. Although he had just broken through to the Dharma stage and displayed abilities that could easily defeat the Summer Valley disciple, Lian Can, no one would have thought that he had trained in a powerful technique. Many people would have thought that he had been stuck at the ultimate primal core stage for a long time, and that when his Dharma power was still in its embryonic stage, he had already begun to train it. After all, no one knew about his past. 10 years of sharpening a sword. I understand now. Although De Zhuang had a strong desire to show off now, when he heard that this concerned the life and death of two people who were more important to him than his own life, he immediately suppressed his desire to show off and spoke seriously. At the same time, He Jin, who had returned to his residence, was also stunned after hearing He Mingxi's words. No wonder Zhou Donghuang had called his daughter third sister. He was wondering why his daughter had suddenly decided to go on a long trip. He did not expect that she would always give him a heads up before she went on a long trip. So, he had dreamed of things that would happen a long time in the future, and that included my death. He Jin's expression was very serious. Now, he had already seen the thousand-star sword technique that Zhou Donghuang had passed on to him. The wonders of the sword technique far surpassed the lightning sword technique of the lightning sword sect, which he had switched to after entering the ultimate Dharma stage. If they were to compare, the difference would be like heaven and earth. After I completely switch to the thousand-star sword technique, I will definitely become the most powerful person in the Hunglyo galaxy below the divine transformation stage. He Jin's eyes shone with confidence. One had to know that the current him, not only in the Hunglyo galaxy, but even on the Tylao planet and in the Lightning Sword sect, there were also ultimate primordial soul adepts who were stronger than him. End of this chapter. Chapter 244. In the Lightning Sword sect, the sect leader was a divine transformation adept. Below him were the guardians and elders of the Lightning Peak. There were only 3 guardians of the Lightning Peak, and they were all ultimate primordial soul adepts. Although there were many elders in the Lightning Peak, only 4 of them had entered the ultimate primordial soul stage, and they were the 4 valley heads of the 4 valleys of the inner sect. The 4 valley heads of the 4 valleys of the inner sect were also the 4 chief elders of the Lightning Peak, and their abilities were comparable to the 3 guardians of the Lightning Peak. However, among the 7 ultimate primordial soul adepts of the Lightning Sword sect, although He Jin was not the weakest, he was not the strongest either. He could only be ranked in the middle. Zhou Donghuang had already heard all of this from He Mingxi. Because of this, he could conclude that, once He Jin had completely converted to the thousand-star sword technique, his abilities would definitely be at the top of the 7 ultimate primordial soul adepts of the Lightning Sword sect. In fact, in the entire Tylao planet, or even the entire Hunglyo galaxy, no one below the divine transformation stage would be his match. From the ultimate primordial core stage to the early Dharma stage, with the help of the elixir, it is equivalent to taking a shortcut. However, in the future training, unless I can obtain some extremely rare herbs or spirit fruits, there will be no more shortcut. Because of this, a few days later, Zhou Donghuang went to look for He Mingxi and asked her to tell He Jin to keep an eye out for rare herbs and spirit fruit. If there was a way to obtain them, no matter the cost, he had to obtain them. Let the Valley Head help me with the spirit stones first. In the future, I will help the Valley Head earn more spirit stones. I have many elixir formulas that are ahead of the mainstream elixirs of the Honglyo galaxy. Zhou Dongwang said to He Mingxi, Little brother, I will ask my father to keep an eye out for the things that you want. He Mingxi looked at Zhou Dongwang gently. As for the spirit stones, you do not have to worry, and you do not need to help my father earn them back. Although I don't really understand the value of the technique that you gave to me and my father told me, even if all the wealth of the Lightning Sword sect were to be added together, it would not be worth as much as that technique. As she spoke, she could not help but reveal a look of surprise on her face. She looked around carefully, and after confirming that there was no one around, she asked, Little brother, that technique, what level is it? In the boundless universe, cultivation techniques were also divided into grades and levels. The best cultivation techniques in the universe could be cultivated all the way to the deity tribulation realm, such as the thousand-star sword technique and the fiery thunder body tempering technique. The art of everlasting youth could only be cultivated to the celestial being realm. Of course, those who cultivated the technique of everlasting youth had a strong foundation, and their lifespan was longer than ordinary people of the same cultivation level. As long as one could cultivate to the ultimate celestial being realm, as long as they wanted to, it would not be difficult for them to step into the deity tribulation realm. A deity tribulation level cultivation technique. A few days ago, when he had imparted the technique to He Mingxi and He Jin, Zhou Dongwang had not mentioned it. Now that He Mingxi had asked, Zhou Dongwang had casually told her about it. And when He Mingxi heard his words, she was unsurprisingly stunned. Deity tribulation level cultivation technique? In the boundless universe, the level of the cultivation technique corresponded to the stage of cultivation. For example, the Lightning Sword technique of the Lightning Sword sect was a divine transformation level technique, and it was only a low-level divine transformation technique. At most, it could only be cultivated to the early divine transformation stage. If one wanted to break through, they would have to figure it out on their own, but it would be very difficult to do so. If one could obtain a mid-level divine transformation technique or above, it would be much easier for one to enter the mid-divine transformation stage after changing their training. In the Honglyo galaxy, the highest level of cultivation technique was only a mid-level divine transformation technique, and it was in the hands of the two transcendental forces that were superior to many other top sects, including the Lightning Sword sect. The best cultivation technique in the Honglyo galaxy was only a mid-level divine transformation technique. Now, her little junior brother was telling her that the thousand-star sword technique was a deity tribulation level technique? However, the portion of the thousand-star sword technique that I've written down for you can only be cultivated to the ultimate divine transformation stage at most. I'll teach you the rest of the technique after you've entered the ultimate divine transformation stage. I've already told third senior sister and the Valley Head about this yesterday. Indeed. Yesterday, Zhou Dongwang had said that he would teach He Mingxi and He Jin the rest of the technique after they had entered the ultimate divine transformation stage. But even so, He Jin only dared to make a bold guess that the thousand-star sword technique was a divine splitting stage technique. To He Jin, a divine splitting stage technique was already a priceless treasure. And now, Zhou Dongwang was telling He Mingxi that the thousand-star sword technique was a deity tribulation level technique. Naturally, He Mingxi was completely shocked. After a while, He Mingxi finally regained her composure, but she still felt like she was in a dream. Little junior brother, thank you. In her shock, He Mingxi did not know what else to say. She could only thank Zhou Dongwang in a trembling voice. Third senior sister, after experiencing that future dream, I've come to see you as my senior sister. That's why I've come to the Lightning Sword sect to look for you. Zhou Dongwang looked at He Mingxi seriously. You're my third senior sister, and I'm your little junior brother. There's no need for thanks between us. I understand, little junior brother. He Mingxi nodded and smiled. She looked at Zhou Dongwang and her gaze softened. Third senior sister, if the valley head can obtain the ingredients and spirit fruits I mentioned, I can use them to refine many core drugs. At that time, not only me, but you and De Zhuang's level of practice will also increase by leaps and bounds. Zhou Dongwang further explained the importance of the things he wanted. Don't worry, I'll get my father to keep an eye out. He Mingxi nodded solemnly. As Zhou Dongwang agreed, he said goodbye to He Mingxi and returned to his own residence. In the following period of time, Zhou Dongwang quietly stayed in the Autumn Valley to practice, and did not go out. The Lightning Sword sect disciples, who were shocked by the fact that he had just broken through to the Dharma stage and had defeated the Summer Valley disciple Lien Kan, gradually forgot about him. Of course, there were some people who could not forget Zhou Dongwang, such as Lien Kan himself. There were also the elders and disciples of the Summer Valley, who had personally witnessed Zhou Dongwang defeat Lien Kan. Time flew. Unknowingly, Zhou Dongwang had already been in the Lightning Sword sect for half a year. At this time, his level of practice had also successfully entered the mid-Dharma stage. Naturally, this was due to He Jin's great help. He Jin had helped Zhou Dongwang find the various herbs and spirit fruits that Zhou Dongwang needed at all costs. For this, he had spent a large number of spirit stones. However, he did not feel any heartache at all. Now, He Jin had already found out from his daughter, He Mingxi, that the technique known as the Thousand-Star Sword technique was not a cloning technique, but a deity's tribulation technique. When he had first found out, he had been shocked for a long time before he recovered. In this period of time, He Jin had also successfully switched to practicing the Thousand-Star Sword technique. Although he had not exchanged blows with other ultimate primordial soul adepts, he knew that his current abilities were completely different from what they had been in the past. In fact, he was confident that he could defeat his past self with one blow. Father, I've broken through. After He Mingxi came out of seclusion, the first thing she did was to find He Jin. Her face was full of excitement. The core medicine that little brother has refined is amazing. You've broken through? He Jin's eyes lit up as well, and he laughed heartily. Dongwang, you really are a benefactor to us. You've broken through to the mid-Dharma stage, and I, after switching to the Thousand-Star Sword technique, have also touched the threshold of the Divine Transformation stage. He Jin smiled brightly. Congratulations, father. He Mingxi hurriedly congratulated He Jin. Girl. Suddenly, as if he had thought of something, He Jin's smile disappeared, and his expression turned serious. Although you've completely switched to the Thousand-Star Sword technique and entered the mid-Dharma stage, before you enter the Dharma stage, you and De Zhuang need to keep a low profile. In the past, no one in the Lightning Sword sect knew about Donghuang's background. No matter how strong his Dharma power was, no one would think that he had trained in a powerful technique. Most people would just think that when he was at the ultimate primordial core stage, he had already trained his Dharma power without restraint. Furthermore, in the past few months, I've intentionally spread similar news. Now, everyone in the Lightning Sword sect agrees that the reason why Donghuang's Dharma power is so strong is because when he was at the ultimate primal core stage, he had perfected the embryonic form of his Dharma power. But you and De Zhuang are different. Everyone in the Lightning Sword sect knows about your background. Before you enter the ultimate Dharma stage, you must not reveal your perfect Dharma power. As the Autumn Valley head of the Lightning Sword sect and one of the 4 chief elders of the Lightning Peak, He Jin was very meticulous. Father, I know. He Mingxi nodded solemnly. Just as He Mingxi nodded, a loud and clear voice rang out from outside. Valley Master He, the sect master, has ordered me to invite you to the Lightning Peak to receive a group of people from the Thunder Knife sect led by the Thunder Knife sect master. The people from the Thunder Knife sect are here. He Jean raised an eyebrow, and his lips curled into a cold smile. Some time ago, I heard that the Thunder Knife sect had accepted a rare martial talent from the Tylao planet. At that time, I was thinking that the Thunder Knife sect would not give up on the chance to bring this martial talent to the Lightning Sword sect to show off. And now, he's finally here? 24 years old and at the mid-Dharma stage, his martial talent is indeed incredible. But now, in our Lightning Sword sect, there is also a 24 years old mid-Dharma adept. Naturally, He Jin was referring to Zhou Donghuang. In the past few hundred years, other than Zhou Donghuang, the first adept to enter the mid-Dharma stage in the Lightning Sword sect was already 25 years old. Girl, it's rare for you to come out of seclusion. Come with me to the Lightning Peak to join in the fun. He Jin called out to Himingshi, and then the father-daughter pair left the Autumn Valley and headed in the direction of the Lightning Peak. End of this chapter. Chapter 245. The Thunder Knife sect originated from the Lightning Sword sect. 6,000 years ago, there had been internal strife in the Lightning Sword sect. At that time, one of the guardians of the Lightning Sword sect had broken through to the divine transformation stage and left the Lightning Sword sect with a group of elders and disciples. They set up their own sect and became the founder of the Thunder Knife sect. The Thunder Knife sect's signature technique, the Thunder Knife technique, was actually the Lightning Sword sect's Thunder Sword technique, except that the weapon used was different. In the past, the Lightning Sword sect's guardians, elders, and disciples who had left the Lightning Sword sect all started to use knives instead of swords in order to differentiate themselves from the Lightning Sword sect. From then on, the Tylao planet had gained a strong sect, the Thunder Knife sect. Perhaps it was the Thunder Knife sect's luck that the founder and the others of the Thunder Knife sect had actually managed to uncover the mysteries of a dangerous place on the Tylao planet after leaving the Lightning Sword sect and discovered a superior spirit stone mine. A high-quality spirit stone mine was the foundation of the top forces in the Hungliu galaxy. After obtaining that high-quality spirit stone mine, the Thunder Knife sect developed for a few thousand years and became a powerful sect that could compete with the Lightning Sword sect in all aspects. The Thunder Knife sect was one of the top sects in the Hungliu galaxy. Because they originated from the Lightning Sword sect, the Thunder Knife sect had always wanted to get rid of the shadow of the Lightning Sword sect and liked to compare themselves with the Lightning Sword sect in everything. This time, the Thunder Knife sect had recruited a rare martial prodigy from the Tylao planet, and they could not wait to bring him to the Lightning Sword sect to show off. At the head of the group was the leader of the Thunder Knife sect, Luo Yuanqiu. Leader Luo, what a rare guest! The Thunder Knife sect had come to visit, and as the host, the leader of the Lightning Sword sect personally led the 4 chief elders of the Lightning Peak to welcome them. The Lightning Sword sect leader's name was Yu Yuqing. He looked like he was in his 50s, but in actual fact, he was more than 1,000 years old. He wore a plain robe and had a head of grayish-white hair that flowed down his back. His grayish-white eyebrows were straight, and he exuded an aura of authority. Haha, Leader Yu, speaking of which, we haven't seen each other in 100 years, right? The Thunder Saber sect's sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu, looked about the same age as Yu Yuqing, be it in terms of appearance or actual age. However, compared to Yu Yuqing's jade-like figure, he seemed ordinary, like a fat merchant in the marketplace. He was covered in jewelry, had a fat head and big ears, and seemed to have a bright smile on his face at all times. Almost 200 years. Yu Yuqing nodded. Sect Leader Luo. Sect Leader Luo. At this moment, the 4 chief elders of the Rapid Thunder Peak behind Yu Yuqing, who were also the valley masters of the 4 valleys of the inner sect, all stepped forward and took the initiative to greet Luo Yuanqiu. Valley masters, we haven't seen each other for many years. You all look as good as ever, but I have grown old. Luo Yuanqiu grinned at He Jin, Lian Kuan, and the others. Soon after, the few old men and women behind Luo Yuanqiu, as well as the young men and women behind the old men, all stepped forward and bowed to Yu Yuqing, the Lightning Sword sect leader. These are the elders of the Thunder Knife sect, and the young men and women behind them are the rising stars of the Thunder Knife sect. After Luo Yuanqiu introduced the people behind him, he smiled at Yu Yuqing and said, "Sect leader Yu, this time I came out, I originally wanted to bring these little guys out for a walk and to train. Now that I think about it, it's quite a coincidence that we ended up near the Lightning Sword sect." Hearing Luo Yuanqiu say this, He Jin's lips curled into a mocking smile. He could guess that Luo Yuanqiu was about to get to the point. "Originally, I did not intend to disturb you, but these young people said that they wanted to come to the Lightning Sword sect to see the glory of the talented disciples of the Lightning Sword sect. At that time, I told them, you guys can't compare to the talented disciples of the Lightning Sword sect, you guys are too far behind. But who knew that they would not accept it? In the end, I really could not dissuade them, so I brought them here to pay a visit to your sect, so that they would know that there is always someone better out there. Sect leader Yu, I hope we did not disturb your sect?" As Luo Yuanqiu spoke, his smile became brighter as he looked at Yu Yuqing. "Of course not." Yu Yuqing's eyes flashed with an almost undetectable light, but he maintained a smile on his face. "I heard that sect leader Luo has recently accepted a very talented disciple. He is only 24 years old, but he is already a mid-Dharma adept. I wonder if he is here this time?" Yu Yuqing asked. Luo Yuanqiu laughed. "Sect leader Yu is really well informed. You even know that I have recently accepted a new disciple. Yujing, come out and greet your senior uncle Yu." As Luo Yuanqiu tilted his head slightly and spoke, the youngest-looking young man dressed in black walked out slowly and bowed slightly to Yu Yuqing. "I am Han Yujing. Greetings, senior uncle Yu. I heard from my master that the Lightning Sword sect is filled with talented disciples, far surpassing our Thunder Knife sect. Today, Yujing and a few other senior brothers and sisters have made a rare trip to the Lightning Sword sect, and we would like to meet the senior brothers and sisters of your sect." Han Yujing was dressed in black. He was tall and well-built, and his slightly handsome face was cold and distant, giving off a feeling that he was 1,000 miles away. The moment he opened his mouth, he directly said that he wanted to exchange pointers with the disciples of the Lightning Sword sect. "I wonder if that would be convenient?" Han Yujing asked directly. "Of course not." At this time, as the sect leader of the Lightning Sword sect, Yu Yuqing naturally could not refuse. If he did, would it not be admitting that the Lightning Sword sect did not have any talented disciples? Moreover, although Han Yujing was highly talented, he was already a mid-Dharma adept at 25 years old. Regardless of age, just based on the strength of a mid-Dharma adept, the Lightning Sword sect had so many mid-Dharma adepts, and none of them were weaker than him. "In that case, I would like to trouble senior uncle Yu to make the arrangements," Han Yujing continued. "My senior brothers and sisters and I are all mid-Dharma adepts. Your sect can arrange for any disciple of the same level to exchange pointers with us. I heard from Master that your sect's largest arena is magnificent and can hold tens of thousands of people, my senior brothers and sisters, and I would like to exchange pointers with your talented disciples there." Han Yujing immediately said that he wanted to exchange pointers with a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect at the largest arena of the sect. He also said that he wanted to challenge a disciple of the same level of practice as them, which was a mid-Dharma adept. The Lightning Sword sect had a total of 6 arenas. 5 of them were smaller, and they were located on the Lightning Peak and in the 4 valleys of the inner sect. There was another arena, which was also the largest arena of the Lightning Sword sect, but it was located in the area where the 5 outer halls were located. Unlike the other 5 arenas, which were only used by core disciples and inner sect disciples, this arena was used by all the disciples of the Lightning Sword sect, so it was especially spacious. It seems that the disciple of the Thunder Knife sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu, is not only talented, but also very strong. On the way back to the Autumn Valley, He Jin said to He Mingxi. I can see that. He Mingxi nodded. He is very confident. He is probably confident that there are no mid-Dharma adepts in the Lightning Sword sect who are his match. After the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, had agreed to the request of the Thunder Knife sect disciple, Han Yujing, he had instructed the 4 valley heads, including He Jin, to bring the most outstanding mid-Dharma disciples of their respective valleys to the outer sect training grounds. Yu Yuqing himself, along with a few elders of the Lightning Peak, led the group of Thunder Knife sect disciples to the outer sect arena. As the 4 valley heads returned to their respective valleys, the news spread quickly, and everyone in the inner sect knew that the Thunder Knife sect had come to challenge them. The Thunder Knife sect leader actually brought a few mid-Dharma adepts to challenge us? Does he really think that the Lightning Sword sect is easy to bully? Looks like they've come with ill intentions. I've long heard that the leader of the Thunder Knife sect has recently taken in a 24-year-old mid-Dharma adept as a personal disciple. Now that he's here as well, I'm sure he's not weak. Otherwise, he wouldn't have threatened to challenge any of our mid-Dharma adepts. If I had known this day would come, I would not have been in a hurry to break through to the late Dharma stage last month. This time, the Thunder Knife sect only brought a few mid-Dharma adepts. If the Lightning Sword sect does not have any disciples of the same level to deal with them, we will be embarrassed. The Thunder Knife sect must have brought their strongest mid-Dharma adepts here. They really have ulterior motives. They came prepared. However, the Lightning Sword sect has no choice but to accept their challenge. After the news spread throughout the 4 valleys of the inner sect, it began to spread to the outer sect. Instantly, everyone in the outer sect, from outer sect elders to outer sect disciples, all rushed to the arena. The Summer Valley. Lian Kan, after you were defeated by Zhou Donghuang previously, you were able to enter the mid-Dharma stage under the pressure that Zhou Donghuang exerted on you. Furthermore, your Dharma power has been further refined, allowing you to be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the most outstanding mid-Dharma disciples of the Summer Valley. You can say that this is a blessing in disguise. Lian Kun returned to the Summer Valley and asked a few Summer Valley elders to gather the most outstanding mid-Dharma adepts in the Summer Valley, and he also found Lian Kan today. The Thunder Knife sect has come with ill intentions. If you can defeat any one of the mid-Dharma disciples from the Thunder Knife sect, I can use this opportunity to ask the sect leader to allow you to enter the Lightning Peak early and become a core disciple there. The core disciples of the Lightning Peak were not all primordial soul adepts. In the Lightning Sword sect, some of the most talented adepts had the opportunity to enter the Lightning Peak early and become a core disciple. Of course, they needed the permission of the Lightning Sword sect leader. Master, I will definitely live up to your expectations. Lian Kan clenched his fists tightly, his eyes shining. If he could enter the Lightning Peak early, it would only be beneficial to him. End of this chapter. Chapter 246. Autumn Valley. After He Jin brought He Mingxi back, he went alone to look for the strongest mid-Dharma disciple in the Autumn Valley. At the same time, he asked He Mingxi to look for Zhou Donghuang. Although Zhou Donghuang had yet to display his true power after he had entered the mid-Dharma stage, he was still a formidable opponent. However, in his opinion, the technique that Zhou Donghuang practiced must also be a deity-level technique, which was why he was able to display the battle power of a mid-Dharma adept when he had just entered the early Dharma stage. Now that Zhou Donghuang had entered the mid-Dharma stage, he would definitely be stronger than before. At the very least, within the Autumn Valley and the Lightning Sword sect, it would be difficult to find a mid-Dharma adept who was a match for him. He Jin did not know, the Lord of the Four Supremes, that Zhou Donghuang was currently practicing could only be considered a primordial soul technique, which meant that he could only train up to the ultimate primordial soul stage. Zhou Donghuang would have to figure out the rest of the way on his own. However, even though the Lord of the Four Supremes could only be considered a primordial soul technique, it was still superior to the 3 deity-level techniques that Zhou Donghuang possessed. Be it the Thousand-Star Sword Technique, the Fiery Thunder Refinement Regimen, or the Manual of Unruffled Supreme, none of them were as good as the Lord of the Four Supremes before the Soul Formation stage. Now, with the help of the Lord of the Four Supremes, Zhou Donghuang's Dharma power was so perfect that there was no room for improvement. There was no need to train at all. Even the Dharma idol condensed by the 3 deities' tribulation-level cultivation methods in his possession was close to perfection. It still needed some simple tempering to reach true perfection. Little junior brother. When He Mingxi found Zhou Donghuang, he was in the middle of refining elixirs in his room. He Jin had recently helped him gather some rare herbs, but he had not had time to refine them into the elixirs he needed. However, seeing that Zhou Donghuang did not respond within a short period of time, He Mingxi was not anxious and waited quietly outside. After 15 minutes, Zhou Donghuang finally pushed open the door and walked out. "Third senior sister, are you looking for me?" "Little junior brother, my father asked me to look for you. He wants you to come with us to the outer sect martial arts arena," He Mingxi said. "Valley Master is looking for me? Outer sect martial arts practice field? What's the matter?" Zhou Donghuang was confused. Following He Mingxi's explanation, Zhou Donghuang finally understood what had happened. "Little junior brother, if you can help the sect this time, the sect leader will definitely make an exception to let you enter the Lightning Peak in advance and become a core disciple," He Mingxi said. Zhou Donghuang had long heard that core disciples were treated very well in the Lightning Sword sect. But now, he had the unconditional support of the Autumn Valley's valley head, He Jin. He did not care about the treatment of a core disciple at all. He was not too interested in becoming a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. However, since He Jin asked him to go with him, and he had nothing to do now, it was not a big deal for him to join in the fun. During this period of time, he had either been practicing or refining elixirs. It had been a long time since he had left the Autumn Valley, so it was not a bad idea to go out and relax. "Third senior sister, did you tell the valley head about me entering the mid-Dharma stage?" It was not difficult for Zhou Donghuang to guess this, because only He Mingxi knew that he had entered the mid-Dharma stage. Of course, out of the 4 Dharma powers in Zhou Donghuang's body, only the White Tiger Dharma power had broken through to the mid-Dharma stage. The other 3 Dharma powers were still at the early Dharma stage. According to the strict requirements of the Way of the Four Supremes, Zhou Donghuang could only be considered a mid-Dharma adept when all 4 Dharma powers had broken through to the mid-Dharma stage. The reason why he had chosen to let the White Tiger Dharma power break through first was because it had the ability to deceive others, so he would not be too conspicuous. Otherwise, once the Green Dragon Dharma power and the Vermilion Bird Dharma power appeared, anyone would be able to tell that the technique he was practicing was not simple. The Black Tortoise Dharma power could also deceive others, but it was more focused on defense, so it was not as helpful to him as the White Tiger Dharma power. He Mingxi nodded. "Little junior brother, it was not convenient for me to fight. Otherwise, I would not have needed you to hold the line this time. I could have defeated Han Yujing of the Thunder Knife sect." Although He Mingxi had not sparred with anyone since she had entered the mid-Dharma stage, she could still feel how powerful she was. Once her near-perfect sword-shaped Dharma power appeared, even the most outstanding mid-Dharma adepts in the Autumn Valley would not be able to withstand more than 3 blows from her. After completely switching to the Thousand-Star Sword technique, He Mingxi's sword-shaped Dharma power was still the same, but it was no longer the sword-shaped Dharma power of the past. It was infinitely close to perfection. As long as she had enough time, she would be able to train her sword-shaped Dharma power to the point of perfection. "Third senior sister, it is indeed not convenient for you to fight." Zhou Donghuang nodded. Whether it was He Mingxi or De Zhuang, the people of the Lightning Sword sect knew them very well. If they were to suddenly display their near-perfect Dharma power, some people would definitely suspect that they had obtained an extraordinary technique. At that time, even He Jin might not be able to protect them. Whether it was the thousand-star sword technique or the fiery thunder training regimen, as long as they did not cooperate and hand them over, the entire lightning sword sect would turn against them. You and De Zhuang, before you reach the ultimate Dharma stage, try not to fight in front of others. Even if you do fight, try to preserve your strength. Zhou Donghuang said. My father said the same thing. He Mingxi felt a little helpless, but she also knew that whether it was her father or this little brother in front of her, they were both doing this for her own good. After a while, Zhou Donghuang and He Mingxi met up with He Jin. At this time, behind He Jin, there were already 3 young men. They were the best of the mid-Dharma adepts of the Autumn Valley. The young man, who was dressed in a blue robe, was of medium build and had average looks. After frowning at Zhou Donghuang, his gaze landed on He Mingxi, and in that instant, his gaze became gentle. Junior sister Mingxi, you should be reaching the mid-Dharma stage soon, right? Yes. He Mingxi was a little perfunctory with the young man in blue, and she nodded lightly. She did not tell him that she had already reached the mid-Dharma stage. Junior sister Mingxi, I heard from the valley head that the few mid-Dharma adepts of the Thunder Knife sect have come with ill intentions. Today, I, Wang Qing, will let them know what it feels like to go for wool and come home shorn. The young man in blue continued. Wang Qing, there's no point in talking big now. Wait until you really defeat them first. Seeing that Wang Qing was not done yet, He Mingxi said impatiently. Junior sister Mingxi, if I defeat them, how about you give me a chance to pursue you? Wang Qing ignored He Mingxi's impatience, as if he was already used to it. He continued to smile at He Mingxi. Sure. He Mingxi replied calmly. But, if you can't defeat them, from today onwards, if you see me, make a detour. Wang Qing was stunned at first, and then his face lit up with joy. Sure. Unlike Wang Qing, who was drooling over He Mingxi after seeing her, the other 2 young men were much calmer, and they did not say a word from start to finish. He Bin, Lu Ji, when we reach the outer sect arena later, please give me some face. Don't make a move before me, those idiots from the Thunder Knife sect are mine. Wang Qing said to the other 2 young men. Wang Qing, since the leader of the Thunder Knife sect dares to bring them to challenge any of the mid-Dharma adepts of the Lightning Sword sect, it means that they are not weak. Don't underestimate them. One of the young men looked at Wang Qing and said worriedly. Haha, Lu Ji, you're too cautious. They are not weak, but do you think we are? You think too highly of us. Wang Qing said nonchalantly. Shut up. Wang Cheng's incessant chatter finally made Zhou Donghuang a little impatient, and he even let out a low growl, interrupting Wang Qing. Instantly, Wang Cheng's expression changed, and he glared at Zhou Donghuang. Just as he was about to scold him, He Jin said, Wang Qing, be quiet. Hearing He Jin, the Autumn Valley head, speak up, Wang Qing naturally did not dare to speak again. However, his gaze towards Zhou Donghuang was full of hatred and resentment. He was already jealous of He Mingxi and Zhou Donghuang's closeness, and now that Zhou Donghuang was the target of his anger, he was instantly enraged. Zhou Donghuang, you'd better not let me find a chance, otherwise, I will definitely kill you. Wang Qing swore in his heart, and a murderous glint flashed in his eyes. In this instant home, Zhou Donghuang felt as if he was being stared at by a poisonous snake. He subconsciously turned his head to look, and when he met Wang Cheng's gaze, he could not help but laugh coldly. What? You want to kill me? Humph! Wang Qing snorted coldly. His voice was so cold that it made one's hair stand on end. It was as if he had silently agreed to Zhou Donghuang's question. HM? Just then, He Jin turned around and saw the murderous glint in Wang Cheng's eyes as he looked at Zhou Donghuang, and his expression darkened. Immediately after, He Jin raised his hand casually, and an invisible force rose up. Then, in the void, it turned into tens of thousands of clearly visible sword lights, like stars in the starry sky. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. As the dense sword gleams swept past, it was like a rain of swords enveloped Wang Qing from all directions. Wang Cheng's expression changed, and he did not even have time to react before the sword gleams engulfed him. The sword gleams dissipated in the blink of an eye, and the blood mist in the air dissipated, leaving behind only a space ring that floated down. In the blink of an eye, a living person had been completely destroyed. He had died without a proper burial. Wang Qing, a disciple of the Autumn Valley, attempted to kill a fellow disciple. As the Autumn Valley head, I will carry out the punishment on behalf of the Law Enforcement Hall and clean up the sect. After Wang Cheng's death, He Jin spoke coldly. Apart from Zhou Dongwang and He Mingxi, only Lu Ji and Hebin were present, and He Jin's words were obviously directed at them. When Lu Ji and Hebin heard He Jin's words, they finally recovered from the shock of Wang Cheng's death. They felt their bodies tremble, and a chill rose from the soles of their feet to their heads, causing their scalps to go numb. End of this chapter. Chapter 247. Just because of one sentence from Zhou Dongwang, a new disciple who had just joined the Autumn Valley for half a year, and Wang Qing had responded coldly, the Autumn Valley head had killed him? Moreover, he had said that he would execute him on behalf of the Law Enforcement Hall. As the Autumn Valley head, He Jin had this authority, but he had never exercised it. In front of others, He Jin had always been kind and amiable. Even though Wang Cheng's words had offended his daughter He Mingxi, He Jin didn't say anything. But now, He Jin had killed Wang Qing for Zhou Dongwang. Whether it was Liuji or Hebin, when they looked at Zhou Dongwang again, their eyes were filled with fear. Although they did not know why the Valley Head would do this for Zhou Dongwang, they knew that Zhou Dongwang was not someone they could afford to offend. Dongwang, are you satisfied with how I've handled this matter? He Jin asked Zhou Dongwang with a smile. If they had not seen him kill Wang Qing with their own eyes, Liuji and Hebin would have thought that he had been replaced. Thank you, Valley Head. Zhou Dongwang nodded with a smile. In that case, let's continue to the outer sect arena. He Jin once again brought Zhou Dongwang, He Mingxi, and the other two disciples to the outer sect arena. The entire journey was silent, and neither Liuji nor Hebin dared to breathe too loudly. The Autumn Valley head is here. Zhou Dongwang and the others had just arrived at the outer sect arena when many outer sect disciples recognized He Jin, and they all exclaimed in surprise. Now that the four Valley heads have brought their people, it looks like the sparring between the mid-Dharma adepts of the Lightning Sword sect and the Thunder Knife sect is about to begin. The people of the Thunder Knife sect are too arrogant. How dare they challenge the Lightning Sword sect? In our Lightning Sword sect, even mid-Dharma adepts are as talented as the clouds. The Thunder Knife sect has come with ill intentions. We cannot underestimate them. Now, among the group of Lightning Sword sect elders and disciples who had appeared at the outer sect arena to watch the show, some were confident in their own mid-Dharma adepts, while others were wary of the Thunder Knife sect's ill intentions. Zhou Dongwang, what a rare occasion. I didn't expect you to be here too. I've looked for you many times, but you were always in seclusion. Just as the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, had brought Zhou Dongwang and his group to meet up with the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, who was leading the group, a seemingly frivolous young man walked up to Zhou Dongwang with a smile on his face. This young man was none other than the only son of the Spring Valley head, Lu Lang. He was a famous spoiled brat of the Lightning Sword sect. Lu Lang stood in the air, his body surrounded by a faint golden glow. It was obvious that he was still at the ultimate primal core stage and had yet to enter the Dharma stage. You're looking for me? What's the matter? Zhou Dongwang glanced at Lu Lang. He was not familiar with Lu Lang. Previously, Lu Lang had pestered him to help him resell the fake goods. Zhou Dongwang had been happy to be free, so he had transferred the fake goods to Lu Lang for him to sell. That time, Lu Lang had successfully sold all the fake goods to the elders of the Summer Valley. His efficiency was so high that it made people gasp in admiration. Of course, Zhou Dongwang did not feel that he owed Lu Lang a favor because of this, because Lu Lang did it because he thought it was fun. They were just taking what they needed from each other. "Can't I look for you if I have nothing to do?" Lu Lang looked at Zhou Dongwang with some resentment in his eyes. He grinned and said, "At least we can be considered friends now, right?" Even Lu Lang did not know why a group of people of the same age as him surrounded him and tried to curry favor with him, but he did not like to bother with them. However, Zhou Dongwang, who was even colder than him, left a good impression on him. He felt that Zhou Dongwang's knowledge of the fake goods was amusing, and he also felt that Zhou Dongwang had just entered the Dharma stage and was able to defeat the Summer Valley disciple, Lian Can. He was very powerful and admired him. "Friend." Zhou Dongwang shook his head. "Young Master Lu, I, Zhou Dongwang, am not worthy of being your friend. If you have nothing to do, go back to where you came from." Zhou Dongwang had heard many of Lu Lang's spoiled brat deeds. He looked down on this person from the bottom of his heart and did not want to have too much to do with him. "Zhou Dongwang, you are indeed crazier and more arrogant than me." Lu Lang's eyes flashed, and he said with a determined expression, "However, I believe that you will acknowledge me as a friend sooner or later." As he said this, Lu Lang looked deeply at Zhou Dongwang and then turned to leave. However, Zhou Dongwang pretended not to hear Lu Lang's words. "Little junior brother, that Lu Lang is usually very arrogant and never looks at anyone. I did not expect that he would actually come up to you and want to be your friend, and you even rejected him." He Mingshi smiled. "Without his father, he is nothing," Zhou Dongwang said lightly. "Actually, you can't say that, if you are not included. He is the fastest person in the Lightning Sword sect to enter the ultimate primal core stage in the past 100 years. He Mingshi shook her head and said, "He is younger than you by a year, but he has already entered the ultimate primal core stage and has been a golden essence adept for 2 years. Although he is a spoiled brat, his martial arts talent is not bad at all." Seeing that Zhou Dongwang's eyes flashed and he did not reply, He Mingshi did not continue on this topic and changed the topic. "That is the leader of the Lightning Sword sect, Yu Yuqing." He Mingshi looked at the leader of the Lightning Sword sect and introduced him to Zhou Dongwang. "The person in front of Lu Lang is his father, the Spring Valley head, Lu Fengao." After introducing Yu Yuqing, He Mingshi introduced Zhou Dongwang to the other 3 valley heads of the 4 inner valleys. The other 3 valley heads had already arrived at the outer sect arena. "That is the Summer Valley head, Lian Kuan. When you went to the Summer Valley that day, although you heard his voice, you did not see him, eh? That Lian Can is here too. That is the Winter Valley head, Lung Qianqiu." The Spring Valley head, Lu Fengao, stood in front of Lu Lang. He was of medium build and had a scholarly appearance. He wore a gray robe and looked like a middle-aged scholar. The Summer Valley head, Lian Kuan, was extremely short, but his eyes were bright and full of energy. One look and anyone could tell that he was not someone to be trifled with. The Winter Valley head, Lung Qianqiu, was tall and handsome, and his face was like jade. Like Zhou Dongwang, he wore a plain white robe and stood there, exuding a cold aura. The few of them were all middle-aged men. That is the Thunder Knife sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu. After introducing the other 3 valley heads of the 4 inner valleys, He Mingshi continued to introduce the leader of the group to Zhou Dongwang. The Thunder Knife sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu, was accompanied by a few elders of the Thunder Knife sect, as well as a few young men and women. "Sect leader Yu, most of the people should have arrived, right?" Luo Yuanqiu smiled brightly at the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing. "Can we begin now?" "Of course." Yu Yuqing nodded. "Those who come are guests. Sect leader Luo, please allow the genius disciples of the Thunder Knife sect to enter first." Haha, good. Sect leader Yu is indeed straightforward. Luo Yuanqiu laughed and tilted his head slightly, calling out, Xieyun. As Luo Yuanqiu's voice fell, one of the young men and women, a tall young man dressed in a gray robe, stepped forward. After a moment, his figure flashed and he landed in the center of the vast martial arts practice field. Thunder Knife Sect Inner Disciple, Xieyun, Mid-Dharma Adept, would like to challenge any disciple of the Lightning Sword Sect of the same level of practice, regardless of age. Please enlighten me. Xieyun stood in the arena, his voice imbued with inner yuan, spreading far and wide. Almost as soon as Xieyun finished speaking, a large man with a curly beard flew into the arena and stood opposite him. I am Zhang Kuan, an outer disciple of the Lightning Sword Sect, a mid-Dharma adept. I am here to experience the skills of the genius disciples of the Thunder Knife Sect. Zhang Kuan, finish him! Zhang Kuan, you can do it! The group of outer disciples all cheered loudly for Zhang Kuan, each of them as if they were on steroids. They were extremely excited, as if the one to enter the arena was not Zhang Kuan, but them. This Zhang Kuan is almost invincible in the outer sect at the same level of practice, but in the inner sect, there are many who can beat him, He Mingxi said. Zhou Dongwang heard He Mingxi's words. Even Wang Qing, who died at my father's hands, could at most fight Zhang Kuan to a draw. Lu Ji and Hebin, on the other hand, are slightly stronger than them. Almost as soon as He Mingxi finished speaking, the outer sect disciple, Zhang Kuan, had already made the first move. A giant Dharma power of 30 feet tall appeared, like a small mountain falling from the sky, shrouding the inner sect disciple of the Thunder Knife Sect, Xieyun. Facing the approaching giant fist of Dharma, Xieyun's eyes narrowed, but he did not dodge like most people had guessed. Buzz! A giant blade of Dharma appeared on Xieyun's body, and it immediately flew into the sky to meet the giant fist of Dharma. After a moment of stalemate, the latter was split in half by the blade, and the thick inner yuan that had condensed into the giant fist of Dharma dissipated. Ugh! With his Dharma broken, Zhang Kuan, who had suffered the backlash of his inner yuan, opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood, his aura also weakening. Although he could still attack again, in his current state, there was no chance of him winning. The genius disciple of the Lightning Sword Sect only has this much power? Xieyun said mockingly. Zhang Kuan was so angry that his face turned red, and the giant fist of Dharma once again condensed on his body, but it was much dimmer than before. You are no match for him, stand down. At this time, a voice came from the sky, and then a figure descended from the sky, standing in front of Zhang Kuan. It was a young man. Lian Can. He Mingxi looked at the young man in shock, and her eyes showed some surprise. His level of practice has also broken through to the mid-Dharma stage? However, although his Dharma power has been trained well, he has still just broken through to the mid-Dharma stage. Normally, his power should at most be comparable to Zhang Kuan's. Since he has come down, it must be that his Dharma power has improved further. He Mingxi guessed. End of this chapter. Chapter 248. Lian Can. It's the direct disciple of the Summer Valley head, Lian Can. Isn't this Lian Can an early Dharma adept? Has he broken through? Lian Can's appearance immediately attracted the attention of many people. Lian Can was no stranger to the outer and inner sect of the Lightning Sword Sect. Although there had been rumors a few months ago that Lian Can had been defeated by a young man from the Autumn Valley who had just entered the Dharma stage, this did not affect their understanding of Lian Can's strength. If Lian Can had entered the mid-Dharma stage, his strength would definitely not be weaker than Zhang Kuan's. Moreover, now that he had personally witnessed Zhang Kuan being defeated by a single blade, it meant that he was extremely confident in his own strength. Brother Lian, your godson Lian Can must have just broken through to the mid-Dharma stage, right? Can he win? The Spring Valley head, Lu Fengyao, glanced at the Summer Valley head and asked. Brother Lu, just watch. Lian Kuan smiled lightly. Looks like Brother Lien has a lot of confidence in your godson Lien Can. Lu Fengao looked deeply at Lien Kun, and then his gaze returned to the arena. At this time, Lien Can had already begun fighting with the inner disciple of the Thunder Knife sect, Xie Yun. Boom! Boom! When Lien Can's giant palm dharma descended, it was as if a huge mountain was pressing down on them. It was imposing and powerful, as if it could crush everything in its path. Buzz, 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 buzz. Xie Yun's giant sword dharma was like a ghost, and it was extremely strange. It weaved into a web of blades, and for a moment, it was hard to tell who was superior. Lien Can's strength has increased so much? The scene before her shocked He Mingxi. She was certain that if she had not switched to the thousand-star sword technique, even if she had broken through to the mid-dharma stage, she would not have been a match for Lien Can. Lien Can's dharma had not only broken through to the mid-dharma stage, but it had also been tempered to a lot of its flaws. Lien Can's improvement is too great, isn't it? He Mingxi was in disbelief. At this time, even Zhou Dongwang could not help but look surprised. He had not expected Lien Can to improve so much in such a short period of time. Not only had his cultivation improved, but his dharma power had also improved greatly. Lien Kun, your godson is not bad. He has just broken through to the mid-dharma stage and already has such strength. His future is limitless. The Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, glanced at Lien Kun and was not stingy with his compliments. At the same time, he promised, if he wins this battle, I will allow him to enter the Lightning Peak early and become a core disciple. Thank you, Sovereign. Lien Kun's eyes lit up as he hurriedly expressed his thanks. He hadn't expected that this sect master would take the initiative to bring up this matter without him having to mention it. At the same time, Lien Kun's gaze landed onto Lien Can's figure with a hint of hope. Lien Can, do your best. While Lien Kun was looking at Lien Can, the Thunder Knife sect disciple, Han Yuzheng, spoke up impatiently. Xie Yun, stop fooling around. Haha. Alright, junior brother Yuzheng. Hearing Han Yuzheng's words, Xie Yun laughed. Then, the light from the giant knife dharma intensified, overpowering Lien Can's palm dharma in one fell swoop. Then, like a ghost, before Lien Can could react, he was already behind Lien Can. With a single push of his palm, Lien Can was sent flying. Wah! Lien Can spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Lien Can had been defeated. Your abilities are not bad, but it's a pity that you're still lacking compared to me. Xie Yun looked at Lien Can, who had fallen to the ground pathetically and was staring at him with a look of dissatisfaction. He shook his head and smiled. If you could improve your dharma power further, perhaps you would be able to fight me to a draw. Right now, you're too weak. Xie Yun's words made Lien Can's expression darken. Not only had he been defeated, but he had also missed an opportunity to enter the Lightning Peak early. Lien Can has been defeated? Lien Can's defeat instantly caused the surrounding elders and disciples of the Lightning Sword sect to fall silent. Lien Can's abilities were obvious to all. Among all the mid-dharma adepts in the Lightning Sword sect, he was considered one of the best. But now, he had been defeated by an inner disciple of the Thunder Knife sect. Although they knew that the Thunder Knife sect had definitely come prepared this time, seeing Lien Can, who was so strong, lose at the hands of his opponent still made the Lightning Sword sect very upset. I didn't expect him to have hidden his abilities. He Mingxi looked at Xie Yun in surprise. Of course, although Xie Yun had hidden his abilities, with her current abilities, she was still confident that she could easily defeat him. The thousand-star sword technique was a deity-level technique. As one of the best techniques in the universe, the strength of her dharma power was unimaginable. Lu Ji, you go. He Jin turned to look at the Autumn Valley disciple, Lu Ji, who was standing behind him. Yes, Valley leader. Lu Ji replied and landed on the ground. In the blink of an eye, he was already in the arena. If you don't count us in, Lu Ji's abilities are the strongest of the mid-dharma adepts in the Autumn Valley. He said. Lu Ji left the arena and looked at Xie Yun. You rest for a while and then we'll continue. Lu Ji left the stage and looked at Xie Yun. Take a break. We'll continue. There's no need for that. Xie Yun shook his head, obviously not taking Lu Ji seriously. This angered Lu Ji and he attacked in anger. He displayed abilities that were even stronger than Lien Can's, and in the end, he defeated the careless Xie Yun. Most of the people present could see that if Xie Yun had rested for a while, even if he could not defeat Lu Ji, he would at least be able to fight to a draw. At the last critical moment, although Xie Yun had taken out an ultimate Dharma spirit weapon in a moment of desperation, Lu Ji also had an ultimate Dharma spirit weapon and still defeated him. Xie Yun, you were careless and now you've lost, haven't you? There were a total of 4 youths from the Thunder Knife sect present today, 3 young men and 1 young woman. Now, the beautiful and valiant-looking woman could not help but make fun of Xie Yun after he returned. I didn't expect this kid to be so much stronger than Lien Can. I've failed miserably. Xie Yun was a little angry. If not for the fact that he had used up a lot of inner yuan in his fight with Lien Can, he would have been able to fight to a draw. Lu Ji, you're amazing. Lu Ji is indeed a genius among the Autumn Valley disciples. He lives up to his name. After Lu Ji defeated Xie Yun, the group of Lightning Sword sect disciples who had been silent because of Lien Can's defeat all cheered loudly. Thunder Knife sect inner disciple, Wang Ping. Among the 3 from the Thunder Knife sect, another young man stepped onto the stage and used a similar giant knife Dharma power. He fought with Lu Ji, who had used a giant sword Dharma power. Both of them did not use their Dharma spirit weapons because they both had the same Dharma spirit weapons, so they could not gain any advantage. Just like before, when Xie Yun used his Dharma spirit weapon when he was defeated, it was useless and could not change the outcome. After a few dozen moves, Lu Ji was defeated. Wang Ping's ability was slightly stronger than Xie Yun's. Could it be that Xie Yun is the weakest of the 4 mid-Dharma adepts from the Thunder Knife sect this time? Many of the Lightning Sword sect disciples stared with wide eyes, their faces filled with shock as they guessed. And it turned out that they had guessed correctly. Wang Ping was calmer than Xie Yun. After resting for a while, he faced the next Lightning Sword sect disciple, a Winter Valley inner disciple who was slightly stronger than Lu Ji. In the end, both of them fought to a draw. Wang Ping continued to rest and once again faced the Spring Valley inner disciple. This Spring Valley inner disciple was the personal disciple of the Spring Valley head, and his name was Hu Jian. Within 10 moves, he defeated Wang Ping. Hu Jian was also one of the Lightning Sword sect's core disciples. He had not even entered the Primordial Soul stage, but he had already been given special permission to enter the Lightning Peak and become a core disciple. The core disciples of the Lightning Sword sect are indeed powerful. Wang Ping sighed in admiration and retreated. At that moment there were only 2 people left on the Thunder Knife sect's side. But even so, the hearts of the Lightning Sword sect disciples who were present were still very heavy on their side, even their core disciples had been sent out. If the remaining man and woman from the Thunder Knife sect were stronger than the previous 2, the Lightning Sword sect would be in danger. Who knew if the next person would be able to defeat Hu Jian? Hu Jian was widely recognized as the number 1 mid-Dharma adept in the Lightning Sword sect. In fact, before he had even entered the mid-Dharma stage, he had been recognized as the number 1 early Dharma adept in the Lightning Sword sect. When he was still a Golden Essence adept, he had already begun to train his Dharma power, which allowed him to possess extremely strong battle power when he had just entered the Dharma stage. It was precisely because of this that he had been accepted into the Lightning Peak even though he was only at the Dharma stage, and he had become a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. Sect leader Yu, this core disciple of your Lightning Sword sect is really powerful. Among the mid-Dharma adepts of your Lightning Sword sect, there is probably no one who can compare to him, right? Although 2 of the Thunder Knife sect's disciples had been defeated, the Thunder Knife sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu, still had a calm expression on his face as he looked at the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, and asked with a smile. Sect leader Luo, it seems like you are very confident in the remaining 2 disciples of your Thunder Knife sect. Yu Yuqing looked at Luo Yuanqiu and sighed inwardly. He knew that he had been too careless. He had not expected the Thunder Knife sect to have so many strong mid-Dharma adepts. Hu Jian was indeed the last trump card of the Lightning Sword sect. Senior Hu Jian, if you defeat the remaining 2 from the Thunder Knife sect, I'll get my Shaoli to introduce you to the beauties of her sect. Lu Lang waved his fist at Hu Jian and shouted, "Haven't you always been envious of me and wanted to find a soulmate? As long as you defeat the remaining 2 from the Thunder Knife sect, I'll help you find one." Lu Lang's words completely broke the tense atmosphere, and many elders and disciples of the Lightning Sword sect could not help but laugh. "You little brat, get lost." The Spring Valley head, Lu Fengao, glared at Lu Lang, but his voice was still warm and gentle, without the slightest hint of reprimand. It was clear that he was very tolerant of Lu Lang, his only son. "Little brother, look at how calm the Thunder Knife sect leader is. Senior Hu Jian is in danger," He Mingshi said with a frown. "It's a pity I can't fight. Otherwise, no matter how strong the remaining 2 from the Thunder Knife sect are, as long as they are mid-Dharma adepts, I'll definitely defeat them." End of this chapter. Chapter 249. If they weren't confident, why would the Thunder Knife sect suggest such a duel? Zhou Dongwang shook his head and smiled at He Mingshi's words. Before he came, he had learned the ins and outs of the matter from He Mingshi. He knew that the sparring before him was proposed by the Thunder Knife sect. If they weren't confident, why would the Thunder Knife sect suggest it? The 4 young men and women from the Thunder Knife sect who had come this time were definitely the 4 strongest mid-Dharma adepts of the Thunder Knife sect. Core disciple of the Thunder Knife sect, Qing Yenyang. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, the young woman from the Thunder Knife sect descended from the sky. Her clothes fluttered in the wind like a butterfly, and her every movement exuded a strange charm. The moment she spoke, the crowd was shocked. The Thunder Knife sect originated from the Lightning Sword sect, and the Thunder Knife sect's system was basically copied from the Lightning Sword sect. For example, the Lightning Sword sect had 5 outer halls and 4 inner valleys. The Thunder Knife sect was the same. The Lightning Sword sect had the Lightning Peak, and the Thunder Knife sect had the Thunder Palace. The Thunder Knife sect's core disciple test was the same as the Lightning Sword sect. This woman named Qing Yenyang was a core disciple of the Thunder Knife sect, and a mid-Dharma adept at that. This meant that her ability might not be weaker than that of the Lightning Sword sect's core disciple, Hu Jian. A female disciple? A mid-Dharma core disciple? The senior members of the Lightning Sword sect, including sect leader Yu Yuqing, subconsciously looked at the Thunder Knife sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu. The smile on Luo Yuanqiu's face grew brighter, as if he had high hopes for this female disciple. Sect leader Luo. At this time, the Summer Valley head, Lian Kuan, looked at Luo Yuanqiu and asked curiously, "Among the mid-Dharma adepts of the Thunder Knife sect, who is stronger, this female core disciple or the disciple you recently accepted?" As he spoke, Lian Kuan's gaze subconsciously fell on Han Yujing, who was behind Luo Yuanqiu. Han Yujing was a genius disciple recently accepted by the Thunder Knife sect. He was said to be a rare talent on the Tailao planet, and he had been accepted by sect leader Luo Yuanqiu the moment he entered the sect. Lu Yuanqiu laughed out loud and said, "That girl, Qing Yenyang, was defeated in less than 3 moves against Yujing." Luo Yuanqiu's words caused Lian Kuan's pupils to rapidly shrink. Lian Kan, who had already returned behind him, was also so frightened that his expression changed greatly. In the next moment, everyone's gazes once again landed on the Thunder Knife sect's core disciple, Qing Yenyang, and their gazes became a little heavy. "Please." After Qing Yenyang landed, Hu Jian nodded at her. He did not let his guard down just because his opponent was a lady. This was because he knew that becoming a core disciple of the Thunder Knife sect before attaining the primordial soul stage was as difficult as becoming a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. Moreover, the lower the cultivation, the harder it was. The late Dharma stage was harder than the Dharma stage, and the mid-Dharma stage was even harder than the late Dharma stage. He was currently the only mid-Dharma core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. This showed how difficult it was for a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect to become a core disciple at the mid-Dharma stage. Unless he was lucky and met with a special situation. Just like just now, the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, had promised that as long as the Summer Valley disciple, Lian Kan, could defeat the inner disciple of the Thunder Knife sect, he would be able to enter the Lightning Peak early and become a core disciple. If Lian Kan won, he would become the second mid-Dharma core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. However, Lian Kan had lost. Of course, Lian Kan was lucky to have this opportunity, but a large part of the reason was because he was the adopted son of the Summer Valley head, Lian Kuan. If he was just an ordinary disciple of the Summer Valley, the Lightning Sword sect leader would never have made such a promise. You recover first. I don't take advantage of you, Qing Yenyang said. I didn't use much energy, so it won't affect my performance. Hu Jian shook his head. Recover, I don't want to be a laughing stock, Qing Yenyang continued. Hearing this, Hu Jian could only sit down cross-legged and take out a high-quality spirit stone to absorb the spirit energy to recover the inner yuan that had been used up by his Dharma power. After about 10 breaths, Hu Jian had recovered and stood up. I'm done, please. Qing Yenyang obviously wanted Hu Jian to make the first move, and Hu Jian did not dare to be careless. Since Qing Yenyang had asked him to make the first move, he did not decline. After all, today was the Lightning Sword sect's home ground. If he were to lose to his opponent because of this, he would be the last hope of the Lightning Sword sect. Of course, the reason why Hu Jian had such thoughts was because he had not heard what the Thunder Knife sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu, had said to the Lightning Sword sect Summer Valley head, Lian Kuan. In the Thunder Knife sect, the strongest mid-Dharma adept was not Qing Yenyang, but the only 24-year-old mid-Dharma adept, Han Yuzheng. Whoosh! Hu Jian's Dharma power appeared, and a giant sword Dharma power that was 3 feet tall accompanied his figure as it flew towards Qing Yenyang. Whoosh! Faced with the aggressive Hu Jian who had made the first move, Qing Yenyang's Dharma power also appeared. A giant sword Dharma power that was also 3 feet tall sliced through the air and met Hu Jian head-on. These two were the core disciples of the Lightning Sword sect and the Thunder Knife sect respectively. They both represented the standard of the mid-Dharma core disciples of both sections. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Hu Jian and Qing Yenyang exchanged blows. In the blink of an eye, 10 blows had passed, then 20, then 30. After 100 blows, there was still no clear winner. After 200 blows, they were still evenly matched. The two of them separated. Looks like it's a draw again, He Mingxi said as she looked at him. He Mingxi glanced at Zhou Donghuang and said, He narrowed his eyes lazily. The exchange of blows between the two of them was extremely boring to him. If not for the fact that He Jin had intentionally asked him to support them, he would have left long ago. Even going back to sleep was better than staying here. How about we call this a draw? Qing Yenyang asked as she looked at Hu Jian. At the same time, there was a hint of admiration in her eyes. A core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect indeed had some skills. Hu Jian nodded helplessly. In this battle, he had already given it his all, but he still could not defeat his opponent. Although the other party was a woman, her strength was not inferior to his at all. Sect leader Yu, I did not expect a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect to be so outstanding. Luo Yuanqiu looked at Yu Yuqing and sighed. I originally thought that Qing Yenyang would be able to defeat Hu Jian, but I did not expect that Hu Jian had hidden his strength. The strength that Hu Jian had displayed just now was indeed much stronger than what he had displayed in the previous battle. Obviously, the inner disciple of the Thunder Knife sect had not forced him to use his full strength. Sect leader Luo, you really came prepared this time. Yu Yuqing shook his head with a bitter smile. Even Hu Jian had been defeated. He felt that the Lightning Sword sect had already lost today. Today's sparring session was between the Lightning Sword sect and the Thunder Knife sect, and it was also between mid-Dharma adepts. The Lightning Sword sect could not possibly send a late Dharma adept or above to fight. Does your sect have any mid-Dharma adepts who are stronger than you? After Cheng Yenyang and Hu Jian had fought to a draw, she looked at him and asked, for example, does your sect have any other mid-Dharma core disciples? When Cheng Yenyang asked this question, she was sitting cross-legged, absorbing the spirit energy from spirit stones to recover her inner yuan. Her eyes were filled with the desire to fight. In our Lightning Sword sect, I am the only mid-Dharma core disciple. Hu Jian shook his head. Hu Jian continued, since we have fought to a draw in this battle, it means that this sparring session between our two sects has ended in a draw. No. Cheng Yenyang shook her head. No? Hu Jian frowned. Do you want to continue? Hu Jian instinctively thought that the woman in front of him was the strongest mid-Dharma adept in the Thunder Knife sect. This was because he could not imagine that the Thunder Knife sect could produce a mid-Dharma adept who was stronger than her. Now, the only mid-Dharma adept from the Thunder Knife sect who had yet to fight was Han Yujing. However, Han Yujing was only 24 years old this year. Even if he had entered the mid-Dharma stage, his Dharma power training would definitely be very rough. One could not do two things at once. When Dharma adepts chose to focus on improving their level of practice, they would naturally have to temporarily put aside their Dharma power training. Do you think that I am the strongest mid-Dharma adept in the Thunder Knife sect? Cheng Yenyang asked with a hint of playfulness in her tone. Am I not? Hu Jian's eyes narrowed, and an ominous feeling rose in his heart. In our Thunder Knife sect, the strongest mid-Dharma adept is not me, but Brother Yujing. In fact, when I fought with Brother Yujing, I could not last more than 3 moves. Cheng Yenyang said. Now, the huge outer sect arena was extremely quiet, and only the sound of Cheng Yenyang and Hu Jian's conversation could be heard. As Cheng Yenyang finished speaking, the entire arena fell into a dead silence. After the dead silence, there was an uproar. This core disciple of the Thunder Knife sect is not the strongest mid-Dharma adept in the Thunder Knife sect? She said. The strongest mid-Dharma adept of the Thunder Knife sect fought with her, and she could not last more than 3 moves? Is that true? Isn't that too much? If what she said is true, then the Thunder Knife sect really came prepared this time. They're trying to trick the Lightning Sword sect. The group of elders and disciples of the Lightning Sword sect, whether they were from the outer sect, the inner sect, or the Lightning Peak, all had ugly expressions on their faces. Is what you said true? Hu Jian asked with an ugly expression on his face. If you don't believe me, you can recover your inner yuan and experience Brother Yujing's power. Cheng Yenyang shook her head and said. Almost as soon as Cheng Yenyang finished speaking, the young man in black behind the Thunder Knife sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu, had already transformed into a bolt of black lightning and shot through the air. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of Cheng Yenyang. Looking at Hu Jian, his eyes flashed with contempt and disdain, and he said coldly, I'll wait for you to recover. End of this chapter. Chapter 250. Han Yujing. Hu Jian looked at Han Yujing fearfully, then sat down cross-legged and took out spirit stones to recover his inner yuan. This time, he had used up more inner yuan, and it took longer for him to recover. It took him half an hour to recover. While he was recuperating, everyone from the Lightning Sword sect knew that the disciple from the Thunder Knife sect was called Han Yujing. He was the rare genius of the Tailao planet of the Thunder Knife sect. He was only 24 years old, but he was already a mid-Dharma adept. A 24-year-old mid-Dharma adept, he must have spent all his time training, right? How strong can his Dharma be? Many people of the Lightning Sword sect were skeptical. Of course, there were more people who were calm. This Han Yujing actually dared to fight at this time. This means that his ability is probably no less than Qing Yenyang's. Qing Yenyang just said that she won't last more than 3 moves against Han Yujing. My God! If what Qing Yenyang said is true, how can a mid-Dharma adept in the Lightning Sword sect be a match for Han Yujing? Seeing Hu Jian recover to his peak and face off against Han Yujing, the people of the Lightning Sword sect could not help but feel their hearts in their mouth. As for the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, and most of the senior members of the Lightning Sword sect, they all sighed silently, thinking that Hu Jian would not be a match for Han Yujing. Next, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Hu Jian made the first move. He made the first move and performed perfectly, but even so, Hu Jian still lost. Han Yujing parried Hu Jian's attack with one move, then countered with another, putting Hu Jian at a disadvantage and putting him in a dangerous position. The third move sent Hu Jian flying. Pft! As fresh blood spurted from his mouth, Hu Jian was sent flying. When he landed, he was half kneeling on the ground because of his severe injuries. Unlike Hu Jian, who was in a sorry state, Han Yujing stood low in the air, and a giant umbrella Dharma rose from his body. The giant umbrella was now open and spinning continuously. Around the surface of the umbrella, the ends of each rib looked unusually sharp even though it was only in the Dharma form. The giant umbrella Dharma form spun in a perfect posture, as if there were no flaws. Han Yujing stood in the air like a high and mighty emperor. His eyes were indifferent as he looked down at Hu Jian, who was half kneeling on the ground, as if he was looking down at a lowly ant. There was dead silence. After a while, the crowd came back to their senses. The large outer sect martial arts practice field was filled with the sound of people sucking in cold air. Oh my God! Is he really only 24 years old? To be able to reach the mid-Dharma stage at the age of 24 is already a miracle, but the problem is, his Dharma power is so powerful. Hu Jian is a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. He's 37 years old this year, and he's the publicly acknowledged number 1 mid-Dharma adept in the Lightning Sword sect. Against Han Yujing, he couldn't even last 3 moves. That core disciple of the Thunder Knife sect, Qing Yenyang, did not lie. Too strong. Such a person, not just in the Lightning Sword sect, but even in the other top sects of the Henglio galaxy, I'm afraid there are no mid-Dharma adepts who are a match for him. Not just the top sects. Even in the 2 transcendental forces of the Henglio galaxy, there may not be any mid-Dharma adepts who are a match for him. His strength is too heaven-defying. At this moment, the people of the Lightning Sword sect did not feel despair. Although there was a slight sense of loss, they felt that this was only natural. It was not shameful for the Lightning Sword sect to lose in a sparring match like this. The Thunder Knife sect had taken in this so-called martial arts genius of the Tylao planet, and he could not be judged by normal standards. It was normal for the Lightning Sword sect to not have anyone of the same level of practice as him. Sect leader Luo, your disciple's Dharma power is already comparable to most ultimate Dharma adepts. Yu Yuqing looked deeply at Luo Yuanqiu and said, in this sparring match, he accepted his loss wholeheartedly. If he had to blame someone, he could only blame himself for underestimating his opponent's determination to trample on the Lightning Sword sect. Haha, Luo Yuanqiu laughed. Sect leader you flatter me. Just SOSO, just SOSO. Sect leader your Lightning Sword sect has a strong foundation, not something the Thunder Knife sect can compare to. I think the Lightning Sword sect must have hidden even more outstanding mid-Dharma adepts. Luo Yuanqiu looked very sincere. Sect leader you don't have to care about my reputation or the Thunder Knife sects. Although we're guests, we can accept failure. You call out the most outstanding mid-Dharma adept of the Lightning Sword sect to spar with my disciple. You don't have to be afraid of hurting him. Who doesn't have some setbacks when they are young? Don't you think so? As Luo Yuanqiu spoke, his lips curled into a mocking smile. It was obvious that he was mocking Yu Yuqing. The Lightning Sword sect did not have a mid-Dharma adept who could stand shoulder to shoulder with his disciple, Han Yuzheng. Luo Yuanqiu's words infuriated the valley masters of the Four Valleys. Many of the inner sect disciples present also had a change of expression. Even sect leader Yu Yuqing, although he maintained a smile on his face, it was obvious that his smile had diminished significantly. Sect leader Luo, Hu Jian is already the only mid-Dharma core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. However, even though Yu Yuqing had said this, Luo Yuanqiu did not intend to let him off. Sect leader Yu, don't play dumb with me, we both understand. Don't think that I don't know. The mid-Dharma adept you are hiding may not be a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. Just like my disciple, Han Yuzheng, he is also not a core disciple of the Thunder Knife sect. Han Yuzheng had not been in the Thunder Knife sect for long, and he had immediately become a disciple of sect leader Luo Yuanqiu. Whether or not he was a core disciple was no longer important. However, in the eyes of the Thunder Knife sect, Han Yuzheng was a core disciple. Even if he had not participated in the core disciple assessment, let alone passed it, sect leader Luo, enough is enough. Luo Yuanqiu's further mockery made Yu Yuqing a little angry. If he continued to be friendly, who knew what Luo Yuanqiu would do next? Haha! Sect leader Yu, I didn't do anything? Why do you look so pale? Luo Yuanqiu's smile became even more radiant. At the same time, the disciple of the Thunder Knife sect, Han Yuzheng, who had defeated Hu Jian, retracted his gaze from Hu Jian and scanned his surroundings. He asked calmly, "Does the Lightning Sword sect have any mid-Dharma adepts who wish to spar with me?" Han Yuzheng's question caused the group of people from the Lightning Sword sect to fall into a dead silence. The Hu family had been defeated so badly. Who else would dare to go up? Furthermore, only mid-Dharma adepts were allowed to go up. Han Yuzheng continued, "I am Han Yuzheng, 24 years old this year. How about this? There is no need to restrict the level of practice of the disciples of the Lightning Sword sect. In the Lightning Sword sect, anyone under the age of 30, regardless of their level of practice, can come up and spar with me. As long as you can win, the Thunder Knife sect will be considered the winner of this spar between the Lightning Sword sect and the Lightning Sword sect. This is a very good opportunity to stand out, don't miss it." As he said this, the corner of Han Yuzheng's mouth also turned up in a slight mocking smile. There were no restrictions on the level of practice of people under the age of 30, and in the Lightning Sword sect, there was no one above the late Dharma stage. This was something he had heard from his master long ago. Hearing Han Yuzheng's words, the group of people from the Lightning Sword sect naturally cursed him in their hearts. This Han Yuzheng sure made it sound nice. Within the Lightning Sword sect, the only people under the age of 30 who could fight were a few mid-Dharma adepts, and those people's abilities were far inferior to Hu Jian's. Even Hu Jian had been defeated by Han Yuzheng, and if those few mid-Dharma adepts went up, they would only end up worse. Seeing that the group of people from the Lightning Sword sect did not move for a long time, Han Yuzheng's eyes narrowed, and the mocking smile on his lips deepened. "What? Is there no one else in the Lightning Sword sect?" As soon as Han Yuzheng said this, not only did the group of Lightning Sword sect disciples fly into a rage, even the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing's face darkened slightly. Provocation. A blatant provocation. But no one could say anything about it. Could they still say to Han Yuzheng, "You, a 24-year-old disciple of the Thunder Knife sect, if you have the guts to spar with the people of the Lightning Sword sect who are above the late Dharma stage? You, a mid-Dharma adept of the Thunder Knife sect, if you have the guts to spar with the adepts of the Lightning Sword sect who are above the late Dharma stage?" These words, at most, could only be said in their hearts, but they could not say them out loud. Once such words were spoken, it would be equivalent to the Lightning Sword sect admitting defeat. "Sect leader Yu, if you insist on hiding it, then we, the Thunder Knife sect, have no choice but to accept the victory of this spar. Luo Yuanqiu said to Yu Yuqing with a smile. This time, before Yu Yuqing could speak, the Autumn Valley head, He Jin, had already said to Yu Yuqing, sect leader, since sect leader Luo has already said so, there is no need for the Lightning Sword sect to hide it anymore. Hm? Yu Yuqing, who had been angered by Luo Yuanqiu to the point of bursting his veins, was stunned when he heard He Jin's words. He looked at He Jin with a puzzled expression. Although He Jin's level of practice was not the highest among the 4 valley heads of the inner sect, he was definitely the calmest. What was the reason for the usually calm Autumn Valley head to say something like this? Dongwang. Very quickly, as He Jin spoke, Yu Yuqing had his answer. The moment He Jin spoke, Zhou Dongwang, who had been resting with his eyes closed, immediately opened his eyes and flew out like a bolt of white lightning. In the blink of an eye, he appeared in the arena and looked coldly at the arrogant young man in black who had a mocking smile on his face. End of this chapter. Chapter 251. A young man dressed in clothes whiter than snow stood in the air, facing the young man dressed in black. From afar, it was a stark contrast. You're also a mid-dharma adept of the Lightning Sword sect? The young man in black, Han Yuzhing, looked at the young man in white and raised an eyebrow. His eyes narrowed, and the mocking smile on his face froze. Autumn Valley disciple, Zhou Donghuang. Zhou Donghuang lifted his eyelids lazily and glanced at Han Yuzhing as he spoke unhurriedly. Autumn Valley disciple? Han Yuzhing was stunned for a moment, and then the mocking smile on his face blossomed again. Didn't you see that the core disciples of the Lightning Sword sect were defeated by me? You're just an inner disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. Do you really think you're a match for me? As he spoke, the mocking smile on Han Yuzhing's face grew wider, and a look of disdain flashed across his eyes. At the same time, many people of the Lightning Sword sect heard Zhou Donghuang's self-introduction and were stunned for a moment before they finally reacted. It's the Autumn Valley disciple, Zhou Donghuang. The Zhou Donghuang who just entered the early Dharma stage and defeated the Summer Valley disciple, Lian Can. This Zhou Donghuang just entered the early Dharma stage a few months ago. Could he have already entered the mid-Dharma stage? Impossible. How could he jump from the ultimate primal core stage to the mid-Dharma stage in just a few short months? Could it be that he wants to fight with Han Yuzhing of the Thunder Knife sect as an early Dharma adept? Come to think of it, this Zhou Donghuang is not older than Han Yuzhing. Han Yuzhing naturally heard the discussions of the people of the Lightning Sword sect. Just entered the early Dharma stage a few months ago? Defeated the Summer Valley disciple, Lian Can? The Lightning Sword sect disciple who was defeated by Xiayun? Han Yuzhing remembered that the first inner disciple of the Thunder Knife sect to fight today had fought with a disciple of the Lightning Sword sect named Lian Can and defeated him. For a moment, the sneer on his face was so thick that it couldn't be any thicker. Valley head he. High up in the sky, Luo Yuanqiu looked at He Jin. Could it be that this disciple of the Autumn Valley is stronger than Hu Jian? He doesn't look any older than my disciple, Han Yuzhing. As soon as Luo Yuanqiu finished speaking, He Jin smiled faintly and said, He's only 24 years old this year. Come to think of it, he's the same age as your disciple, sect leader Luo. Same age? Interesting, interesting. Luo Yuanqiu was taken aback for a moment, and then he laughed as a trace of contempt flashed in the depths of his eyes. A 24-year-old inner sect disciple of the Lightning Sword sect dared to challenge Luo Yuanqiu's prized disciple, Han Yuzhing? He was simply asking to be humiliated. In Luo Yuanqiu's opinion, not to mention the Tailao planet, even in the entire Honglio galaxy, he might not be able to find a person of the same age as Han Yuzhing who was a match for him. Junior brother he. As Lian Can stared at Zhou Donghuang suspiciously, Lian Kun approached He Jin and whispered, Could it be that this Zhou Donghuang of the Autumn Valley has broken through to the mid-Dharma stage? Lian Kun knew how powerful Zhou Donghuang was. He had only just broken through to the early Dharma stage, but he was already able to defeat his godson and personal disciple, Lien Kan. When Lien Kan had been at the early Dharma stage, there was basically no one in the Summer Valley who was stronger than him. However, in front of Zhou Dongwang, he had taken the initiative and still lost miserably. From then on, Lien Kun felt that Zhou Dongwang was not as simple as he seemed. Today, even though the Lightning Sword sect's core disciple, Hu Jian, had been defeated by Han Yuzheng, He Jin still allowed Zhou Dongwang to enter the arena. What did this mean? He Jin had confidence in Zhou Dongwang. Because of this, he had asked He Jin if Zhou Dongwang had already entered the mid-Dharma stage. Although he did not think it was possible, he could not help but ask. This was because he felt that although Zhou Dongwang had displayed powerful abilities when he was at the early Dharma stage, he was at most stronger than an average mid-Dharma adept. Compared to a peak mid-Dharma adept like Han Yuzheng, he was definitely no match for him. Based on the abilities that Han Yuzheng had displayed so far, even if he were to face an average late Dharma adept, he might still be able to put up a fight. Senior brother Lien, if you keep watching, won't you find out? Faced with Lien Kuan's question, He Jin did not answer directly. He only smiled mysteriously, causing Lien Kuan to turn his attention back to the arena. You're Zhou Dongwang, right? Han Yuzheng looked at Zhou Dongwang, a mocking smile on his lip. If you want to fight me, then show your Dharma power first. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't even have the chance to do so. It had to be said that Han Yuzheng was very arrogant. However, even the people of the Lightning Sword sect who were present felt that he had the right to be arrogant. After all, even the only mid-Dharma adept in the Lightning Sword sect could not withstand more than 3 blows from him. Faced with the arrogant Han Yuzheng, Zhou Dongwang's expression did not change. However, as soon as he opened his mouth, Han Yuzheng's expression changed completely. If not for the Valley Head's invitation, I, Zhou Dongwang, would not be interested in standing out to teach a lesson to a frog in a well like you. These were Zhou Dongwang's words. You called me a frog in a well? The disdain in Han Yuzheng's eyes was replaced by a cold glint. When he looked at Zhou Dongwang again, his face seemed to be covered with a layer of frost. The mocking smile on his lips had also turned into a vicious grin. A mid-Dharma adept, and with that little power of yours, you're acting like you're invincible. If you're not a frog in a well, then what are you? Zhou Dongwang said, shaking his head. From beginning to end, his tone was as calm as before, and there was no discernible emotion in it. In contrast to Zhou Dongwang's calmness, Han Yuzheng was already furious. Whoosh! Han Yuzheng's giant umbrella Dharma power also appeared at the right time. The 3-meter-tall giant umbrella Dharma power spun continuously above his head. From every angle, it looked perfect and harmonious, as if there were no flaws. Of course, this was in the eyes of others. In Zhou Dongwang's eyes, although there were not many flaws in Han Yuzheng's giant umbrella Dharma power, there were still 2 that were very fatal. One of them was fine, as it was hidden on the inside, but the other was on the outside. Even if Han Yuzheng wanted to hide it, he could not. I'm convinced. This Autumn Valley disciple Zhou Dongwang, let's not talk about power, but in terms of arrogance, Han Yuzheng can't even compare to him. I originally thought that Han Yuzheng was arrogant enough, but when he's arrogant, it's boundless. Most importantly, he can still maintain a straight face. In terms of arrogance, Han Yuzheng is really a frog in a well in front of him. Although there were not many people from the Lightning Sword sect present who thought that Zhou Dongwang was a match for Han Yuzheng, now that Zhou Dongwang was suppressing Han Yuzheng in terms of aura, it was still a great relief to them. Zhou Dongwang, you said that I'm a frog in a well. Han Yuzheng stared coldly at Zhou Dongwang, and the 3-meter-tall giant umbrella Dharma power spun even faster at this moment. Then I'd like to see how much you, an inner sect disciple of the Lightning Sword sect who claims that I'm a frog in a well, have. As soon as he finished speaking, Han Yuzheng moved. His entire body was carried by the giant umbrella Dharma power as it spun and flew out. Not only was his attacking stance aggressive, but his defensive stance was also airtight. Buzz, 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 buzz. The giant umbrella Dermic idol spun in the air like a spiral knife, emitting a series of screeching sounds. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Han Yuzheng was the first to strike. Furthermore, Han Yuzheng had attacked in a fit of rage. There was no way he would hold back. I said you're a frog at the bottom of a well. You're not convinced? Faced with the menacing Han Yuzheng, Zhou Donghuang's expression did not change. As he spoke, the giant tiger Dharma power appeared. The king of all beasts looked down on everyone. Today, if you can receive one of my palm strikes, it will be considered your victory. When Zhou Donghuang spoke again, not only did his words stun everyone present, but the changes to his Dharma power also shocked everyone. Zhou Donghuang's Dharma power descended in the blink of an eye and attached itself to his body, causing his body to seem to be burning with a blazing inner yuan flame. In this spiritual essence flame, one could vaguely see some of the characteristics of the giant tiger Dharma power, such as the tiger's head, the tiger's body, and the tiger's tail. At this moment, the Dharma power and Zhou Donghuang's body fused together perfectly. Dharma power possession? And this scene fell into the eyes of those present, and they immediately jumped in fright. Dharma power possession was something that many ultimate Dharma adepts could not achieve before they entered the primordial soul stage. In order to achieve Dharma power possession, one must not only train the Dharma power to the point of perfection, but also have to have a deep understanding of the Dharma power and be able to control the power of the Dharma power like an extension of one's own arm. Whoosh! Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, facing the menacing Han Yuzheng with the giant umbrella Dharma power, Zhou Donghuang's body moved, and he pounced like a ferocious tiger descending the mountain. As his palm landed, the shadow of the Dharma power in the shape of a tiger's claw flashed around his palm, faintly discernible. Bang! Accompanied by a loud sound, Zhou Donghuang's palm landed on the side of Han Yuzheng's giant umbrella Dharma power, accurately hitting one of its fatal flaws. This flaw was something that Han Yuzheng had been covering up all this time. The giant umbrella Dharma power kept spinning, and to a certain extent, it was to cover up this exposed flaw. However, even as the giant umbrella Dharma power spun rapidly, Zhou Donghuang's palm landed, accurately hitting this flaw. With the flaw hit, the giant umbrella Dharma power could not withstand the power of Zhou Donghuang's Dharma power, and it was instantly destroyed. At the same time, Han Yuzheng's body trembled as he suffered the backlash of inner yuan. His face turned red, and he resisted the urge to vomit blood. Bang! However, as Zhou Donghuang's palm continued to land, brushing past his shoulder, the sudden pressure caused him to open his mouth and spit out a mouthful of blood. Han Yuzheng's robe was torn from the shoulder that Zhou Donghuang's palm had brushed past, revealing his arm. On it, one could vaguely see a scalding red wound, and streams of blood flowed from it, dazzling the eyes. End of this chapter. Chapter 252. And this was Zhou Donghuang showing mercy. Otherwise, Zhou Donghuang's palm could have landed on Han Yuzheng's head and killed him. Even if he did not kill him, he could have landed on his shoulder and crippled him. Whoosh! As Zhou Donghuang's palm brushed past Han Yuzheng's arm, Han Yuzheng was like a bird startled by the mere twang of a bough. He hurriedly activated the remaining inner yuan in his Dharma power and retreated to avoid the attack. Zhou Donghuang did not chase after him. He only stood where he was and looked at him calmly. Are you convinced now? At this time, Han Yuzheng had completely recovered from his shock. Thinking back to what had just happened, he broke out in a cold sweat. He knew that his opponent had shown him mercy. Otherwise, he would have been crippled even if he did not die. Han Yuzheng sucked in a breath of cold air and glared at Zhou Donghuang. His expression was dark as he said coldly, "One day I will defeat you." To Han Yuzheng, he was only 24 years old. Although the youth in front of him looked younger than him, he could not rule out the possibility that he was actually much older than him. Is that so? Faced with Han Yuzheng's threat, Zhou Dongwang only smiled lightly. Then I'll wait and see. At this moment, the onlookers finally recovered from the shock one after another. He won. Zhou Dongwang really defeated the Thunder Knife sect disciple, Han Yuzheng, with just one move? My God! This ability, isn't it too unbelievable? He seemed to have used the Dharma body integration technique just now. As far as I know, in the current generation of the Tailao planet, even among the ultimate Dharma adepts, there are very few who can master the Dharma body integration technique, right? I never thought that the Lightning Sword sect would have such a genius hidden away. The people of the Lightning Sword sect had originally thought that the Lightning Sword sect would lose to the Thunder Knife sect in today's sparring match. After all, even the Lightning Sword sect's only mid-Dharma core disciple had been defeated. They did not expect that at the last moment, Zhou Dongwang would come out and defeat the Thunder Knife sect's strongest mid-Dharma adept, Han Yuzheng, with just one move. Anyone with a discerning eye could tell what had happened just now. Zhou Dongwang had already shown mercy. Otherwise, Han Yuzheng would have been crippled, if not dead. Sect Leader Luo, I didn't expect you to know that the Lightning Sword sect has a mid-Dharma adept who is even stronger than Hu Jian. Where did you get this information from? He Jin was not surprised to see Zhou Dongwang defeat Han Yuzheng in one move. He even looked at the Thunder Knife sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu, and asked with a mocking smile. The smile on Luo Yuanqiu's face, which was always full of smiles, suddenly froze. He looked a little awkward. After a while, he looked deeply at He Jin, then his gaze landed on the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing. Sect leader Yu, the Thunder Knife sect has lost this battle. I really did not expect the Lightning Sword sect to have so many hidden talents. Farewell. With that, Luo Yuanqiu did not even bother with pleasantries. He took his leave and left with the elders of the Thunder Knife sect, as well as Han Yuzheng and a few other disciples. Seeing Luo Yuanqiu leave with his people, the people of the Lightning Sword sect felt a sense of pride. When the figures of Luo Yuanqiu and his people disappeared from sight, the atmosphere of the scene became lively again. Haha, the Thunder Knife sect leader must have never imagined that the battle initiated by the Thunder Knife sect would end up like this. I thought we had lost just now. After all, even Hu Jian was defeated. Me too. I didn't expect the Autumn Valley to have a trump card like Zhou Dongwang. When Zhou Dongwang attacked, he displayed a Dharma power that was even more perfect than Han Yuzheng's Dharma power, and he even used the Dermic Possession technique to defeat Han Yuzheng in one move. Even the only mid-Dharma core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect, Hu Jian, could not last more than 3 moves against Han Yuzheng. Han Yuzheng was defeated by Zhou Dongwang in one move. From now on, the number 1 mid-Dharma adept of the Lightning Sword sect will no longer be Hu Jian, but Zhou Dongwang. A few months ago, when Zhou Dongwang went to the Summer Valley and defeated the Summer Valley disciple, Lian Can, he had only gained a small reputation in the Lightning Sword sect. Now that he had helped the Lightning Sword sect win this battle against the Thunder Knife sect, his name had truly risen to fame, and his name was known throughout the entire Lightning Sword sect. Today, he had helped the Lightning Sword sect vent its anger. Most of the people of the Lightning Sword sect were indebted to Zhou Dongwang for this matter. Haha, after the people of the Thunder Knife sect had left, the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing, could not help but laugh loudly. Awesome! Awesome! That Luo Yuanqiu, didn't he come all the way to the Lightning Sword sect to show off his genius disciple, Han Yuzheng? And in the end, he was defeated in one move by an inner disciple of the Lightning Sword sect of the same age. Now, he must be regretting it so much that his intestines are green. Yu Yuqing laughed as he looked at He Jin. He Jin, your disciple, Zhou Dongwang, deserves the credit for what happened today. From today onwards, he will be a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. As soon as Yu Yuqing said this, Lian Kan, who was standing behind the Summer Valley head Lian Kuan, had a look of envy in his eyes. At the same time, his face was full of bitterness. He had originally thought that his breakthrough to the mid-Dharma stage, coupled with the rapid improvement of his Dharma power, would be enough to take revenge on Zhou Dongwang. However, he did not expect that Zhou Dongwang had also entered the mid-Dharma stage, and the power that he had displayed was so strong that even late Dharma adepts would not be able to match him, let alone mid-Dharma adepts of the same level. The power of the Thunder Knife sect disciple, Han Yujing, was obvious to all. Even late Dharma adepts would not dare say that they could defeat him in one move. But Zhou Dongwang had done it. At this moment, Lian Kan felt the chasm between him and Zhou Dongwang, and this gap was enough to make him despair. Junior brother your Autumn Valley really hid your strength well. The Spring Valley head, Lu Fengao, looked at He Jin, his face full of admiration. I never thought that in the Lightning Sword sect, there would be a mid-Dharma adept of this level. Furthermore, you said that he is only 24 years old this year? As soon as Lu Fengao said this, the gazes of the surrounding crowd, with the exception of He Mingxi, all fell on He Jin. He Jin smiled and nodded. At that moment, the crowd could not help but gasp. The Summer Valley head, Lian Kuan, sighed and said, Junior brother this time, your Autumn Valley has really picked up a treasure. Senior brother can you tell me, where did you find this Zhou Dongwang? I would like to try my luck too. The Winter Valley head, Leng Qianqiu, had a serious look on his face, and he did not seem to be joking. Enjoying the attention of the crowd, He Jin smiled brightly. This was the first time that He Jin, had been so proud in front of these people. At the same time, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, Zhou Dongwang returned to the sky and returned to He Mingxi's side. Third senior sister, now that this is over, shall we go back? Little junior brother, the sect leader just said that from today onwards, you are a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. You can go to the Lightning Peak to train. He Mingxi said with a smile. Although she knew that Zhou Dongwang did not care whether he could become a core disciple or not and whether he could go to the Lightning Peak to train, she was still happy for him. After all, in the past, only she, De Zhuang, and her father knew that this little brother of hers was extraordinary. This time, he had gained the approval of the sect leader, which was equivalent to gaining the approval of the entire Lightning Sword sect. Zhou Dongwang. At that moment, Yu Yuqing looked at Zhou Dongwang with a kind smile on his face. Today, it is all thanks to you that the Lightning Sword sect has been saved. With your talent, it is more than enough for you to become a core disciple of the Lightning Sword sect. Allowing you to become a core disciple is not a reward for you. Tell me, what reward do you want? Yu Yuqing asked. Hearing Yu Yuqing's words, Zhou Dongwang's eyes lit up. As the Lightning Sword sect leader, Yu Yuqing's efficiency in collecting the rare herbs that he wanted would definitely be higher than He Jin, the Autumn Valley head. Now that there was such a good opportunity, how could he miss it? Thinking of this, Zhou Dongwang replied bluntly, Sect leader, I want some rare herbs. To Zhou Dongwang, the most important thing now was to quickly increase his level of practice. Now, not to mention the entire Honglio galaxy, even on the Tailao planet, or even within the Lightning Sword sect, his current ability was not even worth mentioning. Even with his current ability, in the entire Honglio galaxy, he did not need to fear any adept below the ultimate Dharma stage. However, if it was an adept above the ultimate Dharma stage, with his current ability, it would be difficult for him to deal with them. After the group of people from the Thunder Knife sect left the Lightning Sword sect under the leadership of sect leader Luo Yuanqiu, the atmosphere was somewhat gloomy and suffocating. Yujing. In the end, it was the sect leader, Luo Yuanqiu, who broke the gloomy and suffocating atmosphere. A moment of success or failure does not determine anything. Master, I know that. Han Yuzheng nodded, his eyes shining brightly. Just as I said to Zhou Dongguang just now, one day, I will defeat him. This year, I am only 24 years old. When he was 24, he might not have had the ability that I have now. Han Yuzheng said. Hearing Han Yuzheng's words, Luo Yuanqiu was stunned at first, then smiled bitterly and said, Yuzheng, I forgot to tell you that Zhou Dongguang is the same as you this year, 24 years old. As soon as Luo Yuanqiu said this, Han Yuzheng's expression changed slightly, and the rest of the people from the Thunder Knife sect all looked shocked and incredulous. Even so, it is not impossible for you to surpass him in the future. I am telling you this in the hopes that it will give you more pressure. More pressure, more motivation. Luo Yuanqiu patted Han Yuzheng on the shoulder and said, Master has confidence in you. Hearing this, the light that had disappeared not long ago not only reappeared in Han Yuzheng's eyes, but it also became even more brilliant, making his eyes look like the stars in the night sky. End of this chapter.